Okay.
That's
On the right
interesting.
side.
We've just
You're
gone
different.
live.
Oh, good.
You sound wonderful.
Probably not.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there any way you can hold the thing closer to your mouth, because it's going to be very difficult to?
How is this? No.
That's better.
Yep.
That's
Is
better.
it? Okay. That's
You
all
didn't
right.
bring
I don't know
the,
that I'm going to last very long tonight. No. Sorry.
ATR.
No, because I actually don't have any way to plug it into this particular device.
Really? Doesn't have USB, huh?
It has was it the USB-C?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can get an adapter,
Yeah.
USB to.
I need a different
C to
adapter, which I just don't
A.
have. Yeah.
Okay, I'll send you one.
Okay.
All right.
I can do that too. But
Maybe
we'll see
where
how long
are you?
I last for.
Tillman's got to have one.
He might. Pretty sure he went home.
Oh,
for
never
today.
mind. It doesn't matter, because then, you still don't have your mic with you, so never mind. Doesn't make a difference.
No, it doesn't matter. It's useless. Yeah.
Gosh, it's just like your volume. Are you hearing her okay, Nick?
A little quiet, a little echoey, but other than that, she's our Dr. Steph.
Yeah, the echo. I'm sorry. I don't think I can do anything about that. It's just echoey in here.
Does the device you have probably doesn't have the ability to record your local either?
No.
Okay.
Sorry. But to be honest, I don't know that I'm going to last very long.
Okay.
Are you not very well?
Have you been sleeping at all in the last 3 days?
Not much. Maybe like 5 hours.
That's not that's not good for you, right?
Yeah, I'm aware.
You remember all those years of doctor training you did?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, they said
there was something great that I shared on Twitter a while back. I didn't write it, but it said something about I'm great at telling other people to eat well, get adequate sleep, and refrain from alcohol and other intoxicating things.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Not as I do. Yes.
Okay.
I was doing pretty good up until about an hour and a half ago, and then that wall kind of just like smashed head first into it.
I was looking at all those pictures of you and your brothers, and I'm thinking, she probably hasn't slept at all, or hardly at all.
I slept I might have slept close to 5 hours last night. Night is a weird definition, though, because that was a long time ago at this point.
Yeah. What time is it there?
Yeah. 8:37.
Okay.
There where we were a few weeks ago. UTC +1.
Yes, that's correct.
Let's see.
I was up at like 3:30 yesterday morning in a completely different time zone.
Oh, well, hang on a minute. You should be in an American time zone, which means it's middle of the day for you. You should be bright and sparkly. This is a Stephanie Hard stare.
Yeah. You would think logic would stand to reason that might be the case. It's not
true.
Yeah, you're Skyping now too.
Sorry.
No, it's not your microphone this time. I think it's more of a
no, it's a connection issue, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is as good as it's gonna get. I'm sorry.
Well, who do we complain to Tillman about this bandwidth?
Yep, we do.
Yes.
Okay. Tillman. Is he watching?
Probably not.
I haven't seen him in the chat room yet.
Okay.
I did see him just a while ago, though. But
how is he looking? Is he in good form?
Yeah. No, it looks great.
Excellent. Are you having a meetup while you're there?
No.
Okay. Because there's that fabulous brewery where everyone can drink for free. Those that bring their mugs, that is.
But yes, it is a fabulous brewery, and everyone should go if you're in Berlin.
What?
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 What'd you just say?
It's a fabulous
it-
brewery, and
it-
everyone should go.
Oh, okay.
See, you can understand me.
I'm just good at interpreting. Blah, 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 blah.
All right, we're still waiting
So
for.
I'll just say what I want to say, and then it can help.
Okay. Let's see. We're waiting for Dana, I guess, still.
Okay, I'm just going to get myself a good throat easing beer, I think. Although I might make myself a hot toddy or Coke. That'll help.
Yeah,
Sugar and
trying.
caffeine. I think
In the past 2 days, like probably 48 hours, it's just been a weird mix of beer, Coke, and coffee.
all at the same time. That's an odd drink.
No.
Did you have it
Kinda
hot or
interval
cold?
thing.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, kind of lukewarm.
Right, beer coming.
Okay, get one for me too, please.
What do you want?
Whatever you're drinking.
Okay, I'll get two.
Yeah, I am.
So I hope you're not planning on getting up super early in the morning.
No plans for the morning.
Good. So maybe you'll feel better tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel fine. I just definitely the lack of sleep is caught up.
Were you able to sleep at all on the airplane?
Yeah, that's where I got my 5 hours of sleep.
Oh, okay. When did you get? Oh, that's right. You just got in this morning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, since I last saw you, I have not stopped moving, basically, until just now, sitting down.
I don't know how you do it.
Well, I'm not sure either.
Well, you're younger. That helps.
Yeah, unfortunately, not that young anymore.
Okay.
And
Well,
Dana is on his way soon.
well,
Sounds like-
the last thing we saw from him said he's just getting to the hotel, and it was about 2:08. So
Right.
I'm anticipating that we'll see him show up here soon. We'll see. And if it takes too long, we'll just go ahead and start the show. He can join us in progress.
Sure.
Let me do some sound checks here.
APG listeners, please join
That's
us on
not
our
it.
Slack team. Slack.
Listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Sounds okay from at least what I'm hearing. I don't know if that sounds okay to you all.
It sounds fine to me, but it's my definition of fine.
Yeah, your setup is probably not the best to
Yeah.
actually get a good feel for it. But Liz, we can see you. So thumbs up, thumbs down. Was that okay? Okay, good. Thumbs up. What else? What else? Oh, I need to pull up Evernote.
Pull up. Sorry.
Pull up. Pull up. Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't stink. Let's see. I'm in studio. I guess I better make this all dark so I can read it. Dun, 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 dun. You're a trooper, Steph. You know, if you're too tired to do the show, don't feel like you're.
I'm not gonna last the whole thing. There's no way. Once I
Okay.
get through, it might be a short meeting for me.
It's a very good. I got you a hobgoblin, mate. Which one do you want? The left or the right?
Oh, the one on the left.
The one on the left. That one.
Yeah,
Here
the
you
one in your left hand.
So I'm just away from you.
Thank you.
There you go.
Welcome.
Perfect.
Any other good aviation museums in Atlanta? I'm flying into. No, I don't know. Actually, It must be. Oh, there's one up in. I don't know if it's any good. I have not been to it, but there's a one near Dobbins Air Force Base, like a private one that I don't know. As I said, I don't know how good it is, but I think they have one up near the Dobbins Air Base or whatever they're calling it now. Okay, let's see. I'm in studio, what, 20 something, 201 in the Hotel Indigo. I think Dana's in Louisville, I think. Sorry, everybody, we had to start this thing because when you set up a time on Facebook Live, if you don't start the stream within 10 minutes, it dumps it. So sorry you're seeing all the... You're
Boring
watching the
stuff.
sausage being made.
Mm-hmm. I just had some sausage. Actually,
Oh, did you? I bet you have, but really good sausage. Huh?
German sausage. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you burping yet?
Not yet. Like, just left the restaurant, though.
In
Give it a few.
Indigo in Sarasota, Florida. And today is what, the 21st of November?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, this week's been a bit full on. Oh, by the way, the OB stuff I'll do tomorrow morning. So if I
still need
need...
to send that to you. I know.
You have sent it to me?
No, I couldn't get it uploaded earlier today. I just need to mess around with it.
No, I didn't get any of that. I knew you were speaking.
What was it you said?
But it's recorded. I just couldn't get it uploaded, so give me a minute to work on that.
Yeah. Do it tomorrow when your Compass mentors and you got some bandwidth.
I think that's probably a good idea.
That might be one of the problems, huh? Because you're in how many, a bunch of other people staying there? Sharing the bandwidth? Okay. She's nodding. Of course, we're not recording a show, so it doesn't matter. You don't have to see know what she's doing. Well, everybody's, what am I doing? Everybody that's here can see the video, so I don't need to say a thing.
No.
Okay. Let me go over here and start my recorder. And I can just cut out all this stuff later. Make sure that everybody is...
recorder, yes.
That's not funny.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Oh, I'm glad I did that because I have not set up the... I sent an email. I'm waiting on the link. Is this a different machine then?
He might be on a different machine. So I was on a different machine. That's fine.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I suppose it makes sense for him too.
Mm-hmm.
But would somebody tell him that I have not gotten anything from StreamYard yet?
Can you just give him the same number that you sent to me?
Well, I can try it. Oh, wait a minute. I just got one.
The
Okay.
email.
I got it. I'm going to send it to him. Oh, shoot.
What's I going to do? Start my recorder. That's right. Let's quit that as well. Don't need that running.
Okay. Code
It's
is...
a different number. Yeah.
He sent the code. He's probably been ready for a while, but he was waiting for them to send it to him. Email address. That's funny. That's why he said,
Sorry,
duh.
Are you sure he's a pilot?
I'm pretty sure I've flown with him before.
Not sure about any of us. Yes, Liz, you're correct. Send me a private message because I look painfully tired, and that's kind of accurate. Like I kind of hurt when you reach the point of being so tired that everything is sore. Why does my pinky toe hurt? Because I'm tired.
What? Your pinky toe hurts?
Like just everything is sore, you know.
Oh.
Like Have you ever
Well-
reached that point of tiredness?
Because you know what my wife would say to me if I was whinging? She would say it's a self-inflicted injury.
Oh, this is completely self-inflicted. I'm not. Not.
So I get
exempting myself
zero sympathy when I'm doing things like that.
I'm exempting myself from. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say. It's fine.
Luckily, we don't need to because we can't hear you very well.
Well, there she goes.
She's
she
off.
capsized. We knew her so well.
Yeah, it's been worth it though.
You know what I could do? I can just send him the standard, the way we've been doing it in the past. That might be just the best thing to do. Because I don't see him yet. I sent him the 6-digit code. Hello? Hello? Is this thing on? Oh, hey, look at this.
Hey, there he is.
Hello?
Hi, Dana.
Dana.
Dana?
Dana.
Dana? Hello?
So,
Not hearing
like
anything.
when I joined, for some reason the headphones I'm using was reduplicated like 6 times in the settings, and I had to find the one that actually worked.
Oh.
Weird.
Strange.
Yeah.
Well, we're making progress.
Okay, dear
albeit
Nick.
very painful.
Dana's pulling his hair out. He hasn't got any left. Can't hear you, Dana.
Go to the settings and the StreamYard.
But put your hat on, will you? You're blinding me. I'm only joking.
This is fascinating, isn't it, folks?
That's
Yeah.
okay. Micah apparently thinks I'm sharper when exhausted from the rest of y'all when you're in popcorn.
Yeah, he's got a point.
What do you say?
Sharper. He's sharper, Micah, than she normally is. I'm just trying to add up how many hours I've wasted of my life sitting there staring at you three.
Not as
I
many
mean,
as I
to
have.
happen. Yeah.
I mean, that math is pretty easy. How many shows have you done? Call it an hour per show.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, that's true. 200 hours. Yeah, that'd be about it.
Dan is kissing his mic. We don't hear you, man. we can read lips, though.
Yeah, I got that one.
We know what you said. We just didn't hear what you said. So, do you see the microphone in the settings? And you're selecting it, and it's not bumping up, like it's not picking it up from you. Okay, I would unplug the mic
Check
and then
1,
replug
2,
it.
check. You
Oh,
can hear me.
hey, well
Yeah.
done. You're there.
No, that's
What do you
the internal. That's the internal microphone.
Oh,
Well,
Okay.
doesn't sound bad, does it?
it sounds better than Steph's.
Yeah, no,
That's
mine
not
is
hard.
not good.
I don't know why it's not getting your USB. Have you tried unplugging and plugging it back in? That
Mine
sounds
might be
good.
better if I just use the regular microphone. I could try it.
Well, yeah, give it a try. See if it sounds any better.
I think it's an appropriate
that,
hat
is
to wear tonight.
Is that the Surface that you're using, Steph? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's much better. The other one was better. Yeah. The headset one.
Mic switch, is the switch on your mic is turned on, yeah? Yeah. I think Dana's mic's broken. It's always on. That's as I recall. Oh,
So it's getting
always
USB
on.
power. The blue light's on.
Yeah.
So in the StreamYard settings, you have it all set up, huh? That's weird.
Yeah. My StreamYard settings were weird. It gave me a couple different options for the same thing. And I don't know why.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Wait a minute. He says, hang on. Okay, keep talking. Keep talking. Hello, hello.
Peter Piper, bit Becker, Bickle, Pepper.
We're not hearing you.
Nope.
Thanks, Daniel. His first time
Check 1
joining.
2.
Yeah, we hear you now.
But it's not through
Hey.
this.
Oh,
Are
No,
you
it's
sure?
not.
Tap on it. It's not.
It's through the internal microphone in the iPad. Because if I take this away, see, it's still me talking here via. Hear me
oh,
now?
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Have you ever used the iPad with StreamYard before?
It's not the iPad. It's my.
Oh, I thought you just said iPad. My bad.
I'm sorry. My iPad's over to the right. No, I'm using the my
MacBook?
MacBook.
Okay.
Check 1 2.
Well, yeah, tap on it. Yeah, it's the MacBook mic. We'll just have to go with that. Yeah, it's not recognizing that microphone.
Yeah, I've never had. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I mean, we still hear you, but it's through the now I can't hear you.
Let me go ahead and just get out. It says if you have an issue, try to restart the browser. Let me restart and come right back in.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
All right. Steph, are you still awake?
No.
So what we'll do, based on your state of being, why don't we'll do the intro stuff first.
If you want, I can stick around for some news.
You sure? Not
Yeah.
a lot of news, actually.
Make her
That's
do
fine.
the
Let's
news.
do that. We'll do
Yeah,
the
okay.
news, and then we'll just catch up, and then
Okay.
I'll go to bed.
Okay. And then, and just to let you know, I will not ask if you guys are ready for me to go on with the news. I'll just move on.
Yeah, that's
I learned my lesson.
Move on to the news. Yeah.
Just, yeah, let's go to the news. What do you think?
Yeah,
Hey.
go.
Yeah. No, I asked. No, forget that part.
Yeah.
I don't care what you all think. We're going on to the news. Here we go.
Stand by for news.
That is Paul Harvey, by the way. Paul Harvey. Good day. I'm trying to add Dana to the stream.
There we go.
Maybe somebody else is clicking on him too. I hear you.
You can hear me.
Yeah.
I can hear
Amen.
Hey, that fixed it. So just open up a new browser
I did.
window. Excellent.
And here I am.
All right. Yay.
And I was sitting here stupid. I kept on looking. I was on the phone, and I kept on looking at the
Email.
No, I didn't look at the email. I kept on looking at the our normal notes page, show notes, and I was waiting for the stream to come up, and it never did. And then I started seeing. I said I have this on mute, and I didn't catch it. But you guys are texting back and forth. And I said, "Oh yeah, that's right. That's how we're going to do that now." So,
This is all a work in progress. Work in
The new
progress.
method. Yes.
Yeah. We'll get it eventually. Maybe. No, probably not.
About 200 episodes.
Another 200, maybe.
Be right about that. Yeah.
Okay. So for those of you who can record their own stream or their own whatever,
Yes, I
go
am
ahead and
recording. So
get the recording started.
mine needs an update. Of course it does. Why wouldn't it?
So this is what we should do next time. I need to remember before we get to this point. Okay, just turn your recorder on, see if it's going to work. All right. And are your arms getting tired yet, Nick?
very.
So we'll wait until. Oh, Dana just took himself out. For some
Bye,
reason.
Dana. Come back.
Why did you do that, Dana? You can click on your own little video thumbnail, and you'll come back. Can you hear us, Dan? There we go.
Did you want me to do that for you? I did that for you. Or do you want to be out of the stream? I'll
Wow.
take you back out if you want.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you clicked on your thumbnail. Because when you click on your thumbnail, it takes you out of the stream.
Like this.
Yeah, except for she did that to you.
Check 1, 2.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Do you not hear us now? Hello? Now he's not hearing us.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's probably because you turned the audio hijack. You just make sure the audio hijack settings are. Okay, now I got.
I'll be right back if you can hear me.
No.
So Jilly sent my son a list of things that he might consider for Christmas, which included pretty earrings. And he comes back and says, earrings for dad, yeah?
Oh boy.
It's probably your audio hijack settings.
Bye, Jacob. I'm glad you enjoyed it so much.
All right.
Okay.
Can you hear me now again?
I
Yep.
can hear you.
Yeah.
All right. Good. I'm not going to do another thing.
Was that the audio hijack that wasn't set up right?
Yeah, when I updated the audio hijack, you'd think it wouldn't have any bearing on the
No, if it has anything to do with-
StreamYard.
If it has anything to do with audio, it'll change everything. It has everything to do with it.
Usual gremlins.
Yeah, I don't know why. It just that's the way audio is. It's like voodoo.
It's crazy. But anyways, yes, I am now. I apologize. It's all my fault
right.
today. You can blame me.
Oh no, that's
All
all right. We're fine. Okay, here we go. Half an hour. That's not bad for us. Okay, I'm just going to make up something, and I just don't know really what I'm going to say, but here we go. I'm going to say it. Oh,
We're going to have a clap.
yeah, clap. APG 401 in 3, 2, 1. Wow, a lot of latency with I didn't even hear your clap, although I don't need your clap. Well, that's the right thing.
I know.
Okay.
I didn't clap though, so let's do it once more.
Okay. APG 401 in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Yay.
Yay.
Second clap's a good one.
All right. Time started or noted, Liz. Thumbs up. You don't have to type it. Just give me a thumbs up. That's the best thing for me to see. I don't want to read comments. Okay, here we go.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 401.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door. I'm Captain Jeff, your host, broadcasting live from Studio 201 in the Hotel Indigo in Sarasota, Florida. Today's show was recorded on the 21st of November, 2019.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Get your lightnings flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, we're going to cover aviation news, your feedback, and this week's plane tale. If it ain't Boeing. What the heck are you all doing over there? You know, I knew it was going to be a mistake to give everybody
Yes,
the
exactly.
ability to do all this crap.
Right, I've just frozen, and now I took myself out of the stream, added my
Why did you take
back
yourself
in.
out of the stream?
Well, I was trying to unfreeze myself. I was frozen. What else do you do? I could
That's
leave the
appropriate
stream.
action for that.
Okay, well, that means
work.
that no, we did something. This happened to somebody else on another time. And what did we do to fix that? You might have
Leave and
to,
come back.
yeah, you might have to take yourself out and come back in a new, like log back in kind of thing.
Oh God! I mean,
Like a
I've got to
separate
find
one.
those links again. Have I?
No, I don't think so. But once you've done this, you're using the same machine and the same browser, it should recognize that and let you in.
Okay. See you later.
All right.
Wow.
Hi, Nick.
Wow.
This is turning into quite the adventure
Wow.
today.
Micah, this is not the first time I've had anything to drink but beer on the show. In fact, quite regularly, it's just a soda.
Yeah.
Disguised in a different cup, mug, glass, etc.
Well, let's see. I see Captain Nick's thing, but it says devices not connected. So it says your guest will need to connect their mic/cam before. Okay, he's gone again. Oh boy. So what's everybody's schedule like in the next few days?
Yeah.
I'm going to be in Berlin until Monday.
Okay.
And Monday is no good because I'll be traveling all day.
What about Saturday? I'm just kind of thinking of backup plans here. This is
What time
not
are you
going
thinking
well.
about on Saturday?
What are you doing?
What time are you thinking about on Saturday?
I don't know. Saturday morning.
I'm
So
flying.
Oh, never mind. That won't work then.
I might have plans.
Okay.
At least afternoon time here.
I'd be available Sunday, but I know that's not good for you, Jeff.
Jeff. Sunday afternoon can work for me.
Patriots start at 4.
What's that?
The Patriots start at 4.
Yeah, that wouldn't work.
And Monday I fly out again.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Nick? Why you want to relaunch and just do it the old way, Jeff? You host it.
We could try that. Oh yeah. So right now, see that that URL in the top in the browser window?
Oh yeah, that would kill that.
That's the old way to do that. So I mean, if you copied that and then you let yourself out and open up a new window and then pop that in, then it should do the old thing. I'm not sure that's going to make any difference though.
I'm looking to see if I see your name here. I guess you didn't bid off, did you? The AE is out.
No, I mean, what's an AE?
Exactly.
Old one has expired. What? God.
I don't know. He must have logged
Is
himself
he
out.
calling himself? Is he calling himself old one? He's expired. How is he typing? Okay.
That's unfortunate.
What's that? Right on the show too.
I know.
So let's not let's not let that bring us down. We have a show to
No.
do.
I mean, that's how he'd want to go, right?
Right. While doing the show. I don't know how the old one I've never heard of these things expiring.
His login, the 6-digit login.
Yeah. See, because once you do this, you shouldn't have to ever do it again. I've never had to do it again, unless I use a different machine or different browser. Very strange. Maybe we're just doing things that we're not supposed to do with it. That could be.
They put about 20 guys on the 88 in the left seat.
Oh, junior or senior to you?
All but one is junior to me.
Yeah, that's good.
Amen.
Did you bid off?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm like you. I'm gonna be the last of as long as I can hold on.
All right, so come on, Nick, you can do it. You can do it. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. This might be best anyway. I'll just give him this URL. That way he doesn't have any ability to play around with this stuff and distract me. Not that he'd ever do that.
You know, if anyone would, it would not be Nick.
No.
Definitely not Nick.
Yeah, of anybody, it would not be him. Right.
Oh, device is still not connected. I feel like this might be operator error.
It might be. It might be. You mean Nick, the operator? There's a very good chance of that, I think. And he hasn't really had that much to drink, so that's kind of perplexing.
Mhm.
Well, let's see. What can we do in the meantime to entertain everybody? We could sing. No, we do that enough.
You can sing.
No one
I
wants
can't
to
sing.
Yeah, Shane and I will not be singing. But if you
I
like
will
to
not be
sing,
singing. We can look at my bald forehead. I forgot my caps today. I ran out the door with everything I was dealing with when I packed up my bag, and when I did that, I forgot to put a ball cap or my flat cap or anything in my bag. So now I'm bald.
Yeah, it looks fine. It's a
I'm
good
bald.
look.
Okay, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, and it's not even though Nick says it's shiny, it's not. There's no reflection. Well, now it is. He just spit on it.
Other there.
Pip says he wants his money back. Okay, we'll refund your money.
I didn't see his name on the page. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll reset.
No, Tillman, I am not singing later tonight. I'll not be joining karaoke.
Okay, just to give you an update, Nick is now restarting his computer.
Just wake me up when it's time for the show.
Yeah, how do we do that? Just start
yell really
screaming.
loud.
Ah, Steph.
It's a pretty big. This is a pretty big thing here.
What the
Yes,
AE?
folks, folks, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching me get the AE results live.
Advanced entitlement.
They just came out as we are just coming on air. I don't think I could hold. I can't hold 320 captain yet in Atlanta. Yeah, no. Jeff would have a hard time. Well, no, not really.
I think I'd be like 25% or 20%.
Yeah, it went to like 4,000 numbers senior to me.
Yeah, my number's like 1,500 and something. What's yours? 5,000?
8898.
Oh, I'm like
Yeah.
7,000.
So does your number change?
Yes.
Yeah.
As old farts
Okay.
get out of the way, then my
Your
number changes. Yep.
That's not confusing at all. How often does it change?
Quite
Every month.
Lately?
rapidly
Yeah.
lately because we have so many retirements and people that are going on sick leave and that kind of thing. But in the past, there have been times when it didn't change at all. It just stayed the same all the time, and then maybe move up one in a month or two. Okay, it happened when I put that Boeing hat on. Yeah, blame it on the Boeing cap.
He did a whole plane tales about Boeing tonight.
I know. That's why he's wearing the Boeing cap, I think.
I know.
But I don't know why that would have anything to do with this.
It doesn't.
Oh, okay. I think I have to go pee.
Okay, thank you for sharing.
Sure. I wanted to share that with everyone because we're all family here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
And just so that I don't make a mess, I'll go ahead and use my bathroom.
You're such a funny guy. You're not going to pee in the bottle like you normally do?
Did Jeff just freeze now too? Or that's just my bad connection.
No, he's very Skypey tonight.
Is he? Okay. Now the computer won't restart unless I unplug my camera.
Hey, how was
camera is the faulty? Yeah.
How was your experience on the ride over there in business class in the upper seats?
Very nice. Just as good as the first time I did it. So that was go number 2 for upper deck 747.
Sweet.
It's very nice. It's a nice kind of private experience up there. Definitely does not feel like you're part of a larger aircraft at that point.
Well, I'm jealous. I've never been on a 747 ever in my life.
Never?
No, haven't.
Huh. Oh, you still have time. Some chance.
Yeah, but I'm not like you. I don't adventure out around the world and buying tickets and going everywhere. And
You should. Good time.
yeah, I'm already pretty broke right now. I got denied my insurance.
Oh no.
Yep,
Not
not a good week in the Colton household. What's Barbara saying here? I just caught.
I've not been in a 747. Well, I've been in one, but I've never flown in one.
Oh really?
Yeah. It was I don't remember where. It was years and years and years ago. On the ground somewhere. Went and looked at the cockpit. Could it be Captain Nick back? It could be.
There it is.
At last.
What
Well, I
happened?
needed a complete restart to get that sorted.
Okay.
But I'm here. Hi.
Excellent.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Good to see you again, Nick.
Yeah, I would apologize, but I don't think it was really my fault.
It's just these things happen.
Yeah, it just froze on me.
The
Yeah.
joys of technology.
And if you're just joining us on the live chat rooms,
This is perfectly normal.
and yeah, well, actually, it kind of is. But I do apologize. Apparently, my bandwidth in the hotel that I'm in is awful. The down is good. I'm getting everybody nice and clear, and you guys are coming in for the most part pretty clearly. But what I'm sending to everybody else is piss poor because the upload bandwidth here is horrible. It's like not even one up.
Ooh.
So that's why you're getting such horrible stuff from me. Okay. Shall we try this again?
By all means, sir.
All right. Let's give it a shot.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 401.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door. I'm Captain Jeff, your host, broadcasting live from Studio 201 in the Hotel Indigo in Sarasota, Florida. Today's show is recorded on the 21st of November, 2019.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Get your lightings flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, we're going to talk about aviation news. Yeah, aviation news. And cover your feedback. And this week's plane tale, if it ain't Boeing. So get all settled in, tray tables and seat backs in their upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. Flight 401 is ready for pushback. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast. I'm a captain for a major U.S. legacy carrier based in Atlanta, GA. And joining me today from, I was going to say her lakeside home, but she's not there. She is in Berlin, Germany. She's a doctor, a skydiver, a marathon runner, a strength training junkie, IPA connoisseur, and commercial multi-engine instrument-rated pilot. And we all know her as Dr. Steph.
Hey, that's me, and I apologize for probably my poor signal here too, and hopefully you can hear okay. I am quite tired, but looking forward to a great show, and we'll see how long I hang in there with you guys tonight.
And we're going to find out why after just a bit. And also joining us from his studio in the English countryside, professional photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, former captain for an international airline based in London. It's Captain Nick.
Hi there, Jeff. Starting the next 100. How long is it going to take us to get to the big 50? Oh, I don't know.
Not sure.
Yeah.
Oh, we've already
Yeah.
been to the big 50. You mean the big 500?
Yeah, I guess I do.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Probably
About
sooner.
99 more shows.
She's very correct about that.
Yeah.
Also joining us from I'm not even sure where he's from. I think he's in Louisville, Kentucky at the Hilton Garden Inn. Am I right about that? Okay, he's shaking his head yes. Barbecue master, motorcycle rider, pontoon boat skipper, underwater photographer, and captain for a major U.S. legacy carrier. It's Captain Dana.
Hello, everybody. Great to be back on another fantastic episode, 401.
Yay! So, a little behind the scenes information here. We've been trying to get this show going for about almost an hour. I think we got it now. Anyway, great to see everyone, and let's start off with the news.
Stand by for news.
Now, I'll start off by telling you that we don't have a lot of good news. It's just kind of it's okay news. We're just putting this stuff in here just because we have a new segment. We got to talk about something. So let's start off with this. This is huge. From I don't know where this is from. The 1mileatatime.com. I think it's a blog. Apparently, Emirates A380 shower attendants, I think Stephanie knows something about this, have been, well, let's see, let me read this here so I get it straight. Emirates is known for having shower suites on their A380s, which are probably the coolest thing you'll find on any commercial aircraft. All 3 cabin A380s have 2 of these shower suites. And moving on, Emirates has a dedicated shower attendant on every A380 flight that is long enough to offer showers. The catch is that these attendants aren't actually flight attendants, so they don't have a flying license. They don't have to go through the same training as flight attendants. They technically have to be seated when the seatbelt sign is on. They're paid significantly less than Emirates flight attendants. And it used to be that there were 2 shower attendants on ultra-long haul flights, and they reduced that to 1. And when that is the case, shower attendants shared rooms on layovers. Anyway, it looks like the UK, they don't like shower attendants, apparently. They are taking issue with Emirates' use of shower attendants. Effective immediately, Emirates is no longer rostering shower attendants on UK flights, including to London, Manchester, and Glasgow. As Emirates describes it, they have been informed by UK Border Patrol or Control that they have a restriction with entry of non-licensed crew. Essentially, airline crews have special visa privileges on account of being crew. However, since shower attendants technically aren't crew and don't have flying licenses, they don't benefit from that, or at least that's what the UK has now decided. So what do you think about this? Is this earth-shattering to you? And Steph, tell us about your experience in that wonderful shower suite. And I'm wondering, are the shower attendants females or males, or does it matter?
I don't know, because my experience with a shower on an A380 was with Etihad.
Oh,
and
sorry.
I believe it was actually just a flight attendant for the first class cabin who had it set up and ready to go. I don't think there was a special separate attendant, if I recall correctly, which I might not be, but I don't remember there being a separate attendant for the shower.
I can kind of understand the UK border control having an issue with the fact that these special visa allowances or restrictions don't apply to people that don't have that aren't either pilots or flight attendants. What do you think about that, Nick?
Well, if they're not crew, and by the sounds of it, they're not officially termed. They don't do the training. They're I'm not quite sure what you call them. They're employees, but they're definitely if they're not trained as part of the aircraft crew, then I'd be hard pushed to call them crew. Then I think both your country and mine would have a similar problem, because we need crew visas to get in. And you'd have to abide by the country's rules. And obviously, Border Control here have turned around and said, "Nah, you're bending the rules here." I'm not surprised that the flight attendants are up in arms as well, because this person effectively does their is on board and taking the place of one of the cabin crew, which means they're probably working on a much lower wage. They don't need to be so well trained, but they're on board, probably wearing a uniform. I'm not quite sure where they stand with the rest of the crew either. It sounds to me like Emirates are just trying to save some money by employing people at below the standard rate without any safety training, which is going to confuse the passengers, because if they go up to someone who's acting as part of the crew, they expect them to know what's going on, particularly in an emergency. So I'm not sure how this works.
So I'm wondering if we had anybody in any of our chat rooms that would maybe know somebody that flies for this airline that might be able to tell us, like through the grapevine, that how some of the flight attendants feel about these shower attendants. I don't know. If you're listening out there and have any information about that, let us know. Especially if you're
I just want to know if you have to tip them, like when you go to the restroom in a club and they always sit there with their mints and always with the water running and ready to put soap in your hands, if you have to give them a tip.
Well, what do they do? What does a shower attendant do, really?
Wipe it down, probably, and change the towels out, is my guess.
Oh,
yeah, I would agree. That's probably what the extent of their duties.
Okay. Huh. Well, I never, of course, I've never been on an airplane with a shower to begin with.
Well, hang on a minute. There's one on the flight deck. You're a complete shower up there, aren't you?
I was going to say you need to take a shower every once in a while, Jeff.
Wow. That's what Dana says when he walks in the cockpit.
Wow.
I'm in there.
I mean, this is a bit like the time when Virgin had beauticians. They didn't fulfill the same role as cabin crew, but they performed a service. They wore a different uniform. They wore a white uniform as opposed to a red one, but they were there and part of the crew, and they were paid on a different pay scale. I'm not quite sure whether it was more or less, but I suspect it was, something similar. But the fact is that they weren't actually a member of the cabin crew as such. So
I think there's somebody that is in the chat room that's saying that according to someone they know, that they're an enormous help and that they work hard not only in first class but all over the aircraft. So, I don't fault them for trying to save some money, I guess. And
well, and I would think too, maybe there, if there's a lot of people waiting to use the shower. So the shower, at least on the other carrier, is only 5 minutes worth of time. So they're turning that shower over rather regularly. If your flight attendants and other crew members are busy, you need someone additional to do that particular job if you offer that service. So I agree on kind of both counts there, but I don't know, is there some workaround for that? Perhaps.
Yeah, apparently they wear slightly different uniforms, but only have partial SEP training. So you get some training. They'd have to have some training on the aircraft systems, wouldn't they? But
yeah,
I don't know. Someone else is saying that there are translators that are not crew members that work on some aircraft. I do remember when we used to pick up a lot of unmins from countries, particularly at the end of school term. Say in Hong Kong, we used to fly a lot of unaccompanied minors, who would finish their school term, were coming back to Hong Kong for holidays. Their parents wouldn't fly with them, so we'd have, a large number, and we're not allowed to have more than a certain number on board because they require a bit of supervision. And we used to employ a sort of auntie that went with them. And each auntie, I think, was allowed to look after 15 or 20 of these kids. And they basically, and I can't remember if they were on the gen deck as well as the crew or whether they were a passenger. I don't know. But that was a job that they actually enjoyed doing, since most of them were retired cabin crew themselves.
Yeah, I really don't see that there's a bit. I guess several other people are saying, for instance, Ray Williams, my neighbor up in Alpharetta, back in the day, Lufthansa would, I just scrolled down, would have attendants that were basically on board to help parents with kids, babies, as you were just mentioning, Nick. Translators, I believe that Airplane 800 is Peter Biondi from the Atlanta airport, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, so yeah, I guess there is a need for having people that have certain roles and expertise, and they don't necessarily need to have all the training that a flight attendant does. And if it means having to go through customs with the passengers, I would imagine that they would probably still want to do the job because they get to travel, and that's probably why they're doing these sorts of jobs, I would imagine.
I suspect they've just fallen foul of the type of visa they have. That's probably the limit of it.
Okay. Well, we made a lot out of this that we really didn't.
Yeah.
So we can move on to the
Steph's drinking heavily.
I know, I see that. Okay, we're hurrying Steph because she wants to go to bed.
I'm going to have to start on a second Coke here, and then I won't be able to sleep, and then I'll really be in trouble.
Item B, Qantas A380. Oh, another 380 story. Grounded after door almost ripped off at the Sydney airport. And let's see. A door on a Qantas A380 has been almost totally ripped off after one of the airline's double-deck airplanes struck scaffolding as it was being rolled out of a maintenance hangar at Sydney Airport. The incident in the hangar at Qantas's jet base late on Friday forced the cancellation of QF7 from Sydney to Dallas in the U.S. on Saturday afternoon. Of course, this was some time ago. It's been in our news folder for a couple of weeks here. That was due to, let's see, the door was almost totally ripped from the Qantas A380's fuselage. The airline already had two A380s on the ground undergoing refurbishment in Brisbane and Abu Dhabi in the Middle East. The A380 is the flagship of Qantas's fleet, of which it has 12. The damaged A380 registered Victor Hotel Oscar Quebec Bravo had been undergoing routine maintenance in Hangar 96 at the jet base and struck a support structure as it was being pulled out in readiness to re-enter service. Oopsies.
Okay, I'm going to say, how the hell did they manage to do this? Because that door, even when it's fully open, does not stick out far from the fuselage, does it? I mean, these doors, they come out away from the fuselage and then slide to the side. They can only be 18 inches, 2 feet proud of the aircraft. So,
yeah, you'd think they'd move the scaffolding further away when they're
and the tug driver must have been driving damn close to it. You know, it's the sort of distance where you'd start worrying about him taking off pitot probes and AOA vanes and dinking the paintwork. So he hooked a door. So I'm just going, really? Or was it actually scaffolding or a jetway or something? It sounds like there's more to it than this.
It was scaffolding. It was in a hangar. Hey, we see Steph's brother.
Hi, Joe. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Joe. We need you there with a pin. And every time Steph starts nodding off, you got to stick it in her.
You probably can't hear what you're saying.
His job is to keep me awake. I'm here. Okay.
Great. I hope I know they're having a great time with their sis. Cool. All right. If you looked at the, I don't have them here, but if the original article from the Sydney Morning Herald, that link there, they have some pictures of it, and it really, they did a number on that sucker. I mean, they didn't just kind of bump it. They like literally ripped it off its hinges almost. So I don't know what was going on there. Obviously not paying attention by the tug driver, apparently.
No, apparently it was definitely not paying attention. Probably didn't have any wing walkers or anybody to guide. What? Door walkers,
door
walkers. Something.
They're just going, eyeball that space. Yeah, that looks big enough for an A380 to fit through.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
why not?
A big airplane. Yeah, we have seen the pics of the A380 door. It's mangled. Yeah, that was probably a little expensive. Let's see. Item C. We're moving on. Steph, you're still with us. That's good.
Hanging on by a thread. Still here.
Okay. So let's see. In Dubai, they're having a big air show over there, I believe, or did. Airbus Chief Commercial Officer Christian Scherer forcefully rejected the notion that his company is benefiting from the grounding of Boeing's 737 MAX fleet while speaking to CNBC during the Dubai Air Show. I really need to correct that cultural belief. This does not benefit anyone in this industry, the least of which would be Airbus, he told CNBC's Hadley Gamble on Sunday. It's a tragedy. It's an issue for Boeing to resolve, but it's not good for competitors to see problems on any one particular airplane type. The 737 MAX fleet of roughly 400 planes has been grounded across the globe since mid-March after 2 crashes in less than 5 months. The grounding has forced airlines to cancel thousands of flights, driven up costs, and dented airlines' profits. Interesting to get his viewpoint regarding this. I mean, I would have thought, I guess I'm simple-minded, that this would help Airbus, but apparently he says forcefully, no, it's not helping anybody.
Well, I don't understand how, and he would need to explain the logic to me before I did, because I'm like you, Jeff. I'm going, how can this not help Airbus? Their direct competitor for the A320 series aircraft has been grounded for months and is likely to receive drops in orders that will only benefit Airbus in the future. So how does this not help them? So,
well, I think I think from a business standpoint, it really does. But from a PR standpoint, is that what you want to come out and kind of look like you're really gloating or reveling in someone else's troubles? Because, as things go sometimes, if things are reversed down the road for some reason or another.
You're hoping that they're going to say nice things about, about your airplane when you're having issues.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the whole industry. Yeah, I understand that point of view, and I think you're right. There are a lot of passengers will be put off if Airbus started crowing about it, but and I think the whole industry doesn't do itself any favors when it's under a PR spotlight like this, because any aircraft incident becomes amplified enormously, regardless of whether it's Boeing or Airbus, when you've got aviation in the news. I think we'd all much rather we were out of the news and just got on doing our job.
Well, and that's exactly it. I mean, think of it. Most people don't really understand what the difference between an Airbus and a 737 is. I mean, we in the aviation community, of course, we know what the difference is, but it's a black eye on the entire manufacturing community, I would think, as Boeing is, and as Airbus is kind of indicating here, and even so with the new Airbuses that are coming out, that was the Neos they're having problems with. So that I think that's having an effect too, because they're having to be extra cautious now because of all the problems that Boeing with the Max has had. So it is a media nightmare, because think of it. I mean, how accurate and how often are the folks in the media really talking really accurate? Not. Yeah, they don't. So it doesn't take very much for the facts to get strewn away, and the whole industry takes hit. So I can kind of see his point here.
I think that they were in a bar together in Dubai and just, having a whole bunch of beers, and, he's thinking, this Boeing dude, he's a pretty nice guy. I'm not going to say anything bad about his Boeing Max, because he's a beer buddy now. That's what I think happened.
Right.
Anyway. And I know somebody was over there, Nev and Carlos, and that's what they told me, because they were in the same pub drinking with these guys.
They were all, why does that not surprise me that they were able to manage their way into a bar?
Didn't they go over in an Airbus and come back in a Boeing? They're very even-handed, aren't they?
Yeah, very
even-handed. The 1000, right?
I think it was a 1,351.
And then
quite impressed with that.
47-400 on the way back.
Hey, so John McElry in the Facebook chat says, connection not often being made are the fuel/emission savings that are not happening with the grounding of the MAX. Now, I'm not sure, but I would guess that I'm not sure. In fact, there are probably more emissions now because they're having to put in older technology airplanes to make up for the loss of seat capacity to get these flights performed and passengers on their to their destinations.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Right.
If you're keeping those ancient old airplanes burning coal burners going when you could have nice fuel efficient brand new machines, it's bound to hurt the emission standards. Yes.
Right. That's the way I would think it would be happening. Anyway, we'll see. But it's an interesting point nonetheless. Okay, moving on still. We have an update. There was a news item that we talked about before where there was an American Airlines A300, was it? Or was it a 330?
If it's a 300, that'd be a long time
Yeah,
ago.
it looks like a 330 tail.
Probably a
to me.
3330, a 330.
Okay, 330 then. Documents seen. Anyway, they had to divert because of a very strong smell. And at the time, we had mentioned in the news articles that they were saying it was some sort of cleaning fluid that had spilled. The incident led to the diversion of a Heathrow to Philadelphia flight and a passenger being sent to the hospital. Records show part of the aircraft had been leaking oil prior to the flight. It was an APU oil leak. One assertion made in an internal American Airlines report on the incident on 21st October does stick out. It states that dish soap in a bottle caused 2 flight attendants to get medical attention and 1 passenger. That's not a very well-written sentence there. I think what they mean to say is caused 2 flight attendants and 1 passenger to get medical attention. Anyway, dish soap is the American term for washing up liquid. I'm thinking that that's got to be an awfully strong washing up liquid to cause somebody to actually pass out and have to seek medical attention.
Yeah, how come all the how come all the housewives and half husbands aren't fainting every time they do the dishes?
I know.
I
I
think
don't
it
know. They
might.
need stronger washing up liquid, clearly.
Clearly, it's not. Yeah, maybe this person had an allergic reaction. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, well, if you read the rest of the article, you'll see that they strongly believe that this was linked to an APU oil leak. And even though they weren't operating the APU, there are manuals that say that even if the APU is not being used, it can still contaminate certain ducting and air systems, I guess because of its location. So I don't know. I'm not an Airbus A330 pilot, so I don't know where the APU is situated and what is back there. I know it's in the back and the tail, but I don't know.
If only we had one.
What? No APU?
An Airbus A330 pilot.
No,
We don't anymore.
Yeah, we don't.
No,
But
isn't that a
at
shame?
one time we did, but apparently he's dumped all that information. I don't blame you either.
Well, all I know is that it's the back end, and of course, it is quite capable of pressurizing or aiding the pressurization of the aircraft, providing air conditioning. So it can duct air in, but I'm not quite sure how you would get contaminated air from the APU air inlet, and it continue to contaminate the air without the APU operating. No, it doesn't make sense to me.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Unless
either.
there's an awful lot of oil that's got coated the entire workings of the system, got deeper into the system, say in the main mixer chamber, where all the air goes before it's distributed. If it got that far, then yes, I guess it would. But you're so far from the APU, then it would take some effort to get the oil there.
So how many pipe? Go ahead, Dana.
I was going to ask where are the packs on the airplane, Nick? Do you know if they're more towards?
They're in the belly, just after the under the wing fuselage area.
So it's a long way from the APU.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any
absolutely.
sense. Huh. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. Anyway, it's still a mystery. But as far as it being dish soap, no, Okay. Definitely.
We're giving that a secret ballot. Oh,
Yeah,
not
that's-
a secret
It might
ballot.
have been it might have been one of those flight attendants putting on way too much perfume. You ever have that happen, Jeff?
Yes. Yeah, that could almost makes me pass out.
Okay. The two of us will be
Awesome,
sitting
Rick.
on the flight deck. Next thing you know, you smell the really strong perfume or cologne. It's like, oh my god, you just put the whole entire bottle on you. My word.
You gotta smell good, Dana. You gotta smell good.
No, I never smell good, Jeff.
All
Just ask
right.
my wife.
Finally, let's see. Here we go.
Family show, ladies and gentlemen. Family show.
I need to start playing more of these things. I have one of our listeners was
And
complaining.
guys,
Yes, he was complaining he wasn't getting his money's worth for the jingles that we used to play a lot. So hope
is
I'm
that the same listener who wanted his money back earlier in the show?
Yes,
too?
that's the same one. One in the same. Let's see. Finally, item E, Delhi man impersonates Lufthansa pilot to skip queue security check at Delhi airport. This from ndtv.com. I don't know what that stands for. Some New Delhi, I would imagine. New Delhi TV? Hey, I think that's a good guess. Rajan Mahbubani was wearing the pilot's uniform when he was arrested from the departure gate of a Delhi airport on Monday. And he was impersonating a pilot of Lufthansa to escape the long queues and security checking. 48-year-old Rajan was wearing the pilot's uniform when he was arrested. Okay, here we go again, journalists. Thank you very much for restating the same thing over and over and over. And yes, you're welcome for me reading it. He was handed over to the Delhi police for further probe. Ooh.
Oh, nasty.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Escalated quickly. I don't know.
The CISF action came on the basis of information provided by the chief security officer of the German Airlines, which said that there is a suspected passenger in the getup of a captain of Lufthansa Airlines. The getup. The man who lives in Vasant Kunj area of the national capital. Let me try that again. The man who lives in an area near the national capital was in a possession of a fake ID card of a Lufthansa Airlines captain, and he used it to get privilege at airports. The passenger disclosed that he used to shoot YouTube videos on aviation and had obtained the Lufthansa fake ID card in Bangkok. It was revealed that he was fond of wearing uniforms of different professions. Use your imagination. And getting himself snapped in different poses. I guess he fashioned himself the character in Catch-22, whose name escapes me at this point.
Walter Mitty. Oh, no, that's a different movie.
You Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to think of what the guy's name was, the real life.
Frank Abagnale.
Yeah, that's it. Frank.
But that wasn't Catch-22.
Catch Me If You Can.
No, not Catch-22. That was in Catch Me If You Can.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see. In his phone, there are pictures of him posing as an army colonel. He had short videos of himself wearing different uniforms on TikTok, the social media app for recording and sharing short clips, police said. Anyway, he's in big trouble. That's pretty serious, actually, when you're forging documents to gain access to areas that are restricted to mere average humans. In other words, people that aren't airline crew members and such. So
yeah, they should have just looked for his halo, because of course us sky gods all have halos.
I know.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
sure.
Should have been able to spot that, from a mile away,
Yes,
or
exactly.
the lack of it.
Halos or little horns.
I'm not going there. Anyway, my horns are very big.
All right.
That's what she said.
There we go. Okay. That's
Family
it.
show, folks.
Thankfully,
Family show.
thankfully, that is the end of our news. I told you there wasn't really much in there, and that's a good thing actually, because that means there haven't been a bunch of incidents and crashes and such. So,
Yes.
I think now we should try to find the thing that I play to sing that I cannot find. Okay. Let's see. It'll be edited in post for sure. Hang in there. Hang out. Hang on.
We're hanging on.
Okay. Where'd it go? Dang it, Jeff.
Just do it in plain song.
I could do that. I'd really rather not, but oh, that's weird why I can't find the darn thing. Anyway. Well, I need to. Here we go. Getting to know you. I just burp just came. I'm not even drinking beer. And I just belched. Let me try that again. Getting to know you. Getting to know. No, I'm just going to skip this part. Hey, what's everybody been up to since the last episode? Let's start with Steph so that she can get to bed.
Yeah, we can start with me.
Or do you want to save the best for last?
Yeah, let's do that because I want to listen to what everyone else has to say.
Okay.
They've been up to.
Let's see. Dana, how have
Hi.
you been, sir? I know it hasn't been long since the last episode, so.
It hasn't been that long, no. And honestly, I'm out back flying on my first trip since the last episode, and so far, completely uneventful flying. Good weather. A little windy coming in here to Louisville today, almost a 60-degree crosswind. That's the most challenging I've seen in a bit. With I think it was 11 gusting 19. Yeah, that's what it was. So, other than that, status quo. Can't if you don't have, my mother always taught me, if you don't have something good to say, don't say it at all. So I'm not going to say it. It's been pretty boring.
Well, sometimes boring is good, especially in our profession. All right, Nick, yourself, sir. Have you been busy doing things?
I have, sir. Yesterday I was with the lovely Rob Simmons at St. Benedict's School, talking to his aviation group there. Fine bunch of keen youngsters, ranging from ages of, I don't know, 8 until about early teens. So that was really very nice. Very smart kids, knew a lot about aviation, real av geeks even at that age. And I hope destined to, have great careers in the industry if they carry on the way they're going. Fine bunch of kids. And of course, it was great to see Rob again. He's a lovely bloke. And, my regards to you, sir, and thank you very much indeed for the donation to the Whiskey Barrel. Much appreciated.
Ooh. Hey, you know what, Rob, if you're listening, and I'm sure you are, I lost those clips of your wonderful children shouting, "We love you, Captain Jeff."
Oh yeah, they didn't say that anymore. They forgotten about you completely.
I think they must have.
Probably cussing them out.
And they somehow got into my Evernote application and deleted the files.
No, I might have those somewhere, but
Okay.
I'll look for them.
I spent a lot of time between this show and last show trying to find those darn things. They're probably there somewhere. I just gave them a different name or something. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm glad that you had a nice visit to St. Benedict's and with Rob. Anything else?
No, nothing really. It hasn't been that long since the last show.
Yeah, it really has not. Dana, you know what I just remembered? So he asked me on the last show, and I apologize for this.
Oh, yes.
If I'd played the Oklahoma City meetup audio, and I said yes. And then when I was editing the show and listening to that exchange again, and I thought to myself, well, I think I did. I mean, I answered very quickly and affirmatively that we had played it, and then I thought,
and I said, yes, sir.
Then I went back and listened to the previous show and then the show before that because you had skipped 2, and I did not hear it on either of those. So I thought, oops, sorry, Dana, I owe you an apology. I did not play that Oklahoma City meetup.
Well, Jeff,
so
it's not that you owe me an apology. It's the folks in Oklahoma City that came up to see me.
That's true. That is more important.
Absolutely correct.
They didn't get their chance to shine in the APG, whatever you call this. So I'm going to play it now. What do you think?
Sounds fantastic.
Okay, here we go.
Well, hello, APG community. This is Captain Dana reporting live from Backdoor Barbecue in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. We're having a little meetup here, having a great night with some APG listeners and fans. So I wanted to go ahead and put in a little feedback this evening. I've got Alex and his lovely bride, Jane, with me, and I've got Chris, and I've got Corey, and they're all going to say hello and say something here in just a moment. But I just want to take an opportunity to thank each and every one of them from coming out today, and really just been a great evening of barbecue. I didn't partake in any beer, but they did have a couple beers. But it's been a fantastic evening of cutting up, talking aviation, and spend some time with some really good folks. So without ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand over the phone to Alex so he can go ahead and say hello to everybody.
Well, hello, this is Alex. I'm looking at my wife right now. She said she does not want to be a part of this recording, so I will talk on her behalf for our family. But very happy to get to meet one of the APG crew, and hoping that I get to meet more in the near future. Possibly the next OKC marathon, we'll get Dr. Steph out here, get her some IPA and some running in. That would probably do the trick. But with that, I will pass it on. Thank you. This is Chris here, fairly new listener to the show. I've been listening for about 2 or 3 months now. Started listening to a few of the older episodes as I work and stuff. And been former new avionics technician, I guess, for about 12 years now. And so I kind of got listening to the show, and it was great to meet Captain Dana here. And I'll pass it along to Corey here.
Hello, APG community. This is Corey Huffer. It is a pleasure to finally make the big time after listening to so many episodes. I'm a local real estate professional here, so please send me all of your business. And I look forward to future meetups, and hopefully we can get the rest of the APG crew out here. Thanks again, Dana.
Well, anyways, thank you guys for coming out tonight. And I'll tell you what, it's been a fantastic evening talking aviation, talking about how awesome our community is, and just really very nice people. The other thing is you need to pay attention to social medias, because that's how everybody found out about this meetup tonight. I put it out there on Twitter. So anyways, keep paying attention to our Twitter feed and our calendars, and you guys can come meet up with us as well. So anyways, in the meantime, I'm going to send it back to the studio. Jeff, take it away.
Thank you, Dana. And again, apologies that we didn't do that sooner, but we got it done. So
excellent, and that was an amazing evening. The food was good, and the company was even better, and it was so great to see people. As a matter of fact, I got a couple messages for my overnight in Syracuse tomorrow night actually, and unfortunately I have some personal plans in Syracuse, so I apologize to those folks, but that's the way you're going to find us, is look at our schedules, look at the social medias. I tend to at least tweet out if I'm going to be someplace and available. I knew I was going to be here in Louisville recording, so I didn't send anything out, but other than that, it's nice to see people out on the road.
Yeah, we'll talk about the social medias at the end of the show, how you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook, Slack, and look at our calendar, APG community calendar. Right. Anything else, Dana?
No, I'm just sitting here while you guys are talking and just going through this. We talked about it a little bit on air earlier, but another award came out for movement within the company, and kind of checking out all the fun stuff here. No displacement, so I'm excited about that. I get to see on the 88 for another, at least another 6 months probably.
Excellent.
So happy about that.
Well, that's good. Let's see. This is going to be kind of a combination Jeff and Steph update since the last show. Should I mention this, Steph? And then we can kind of lead right on into where you are and what you're doing there. So I got a text from, or a message from, I think, Steph, a few days before the trip that I'm on now, saying that, hey, I'm going to be going through Atlanta on the way to Chicago and then ultimately Berlin. and looks like it's going to be good timing for me to meet up with you and have a cup of coffee or whatever. And I thought, that's great. And she said that Mike Carroll's, dispatcher Mike, is also going to be there as well. And then, of course, it turns out that we let Stephen Ivy, First Officer Stephen, know that we were going to be there as well. And it worked out perfectly for him as well. He was just starting a trip that morning. So we met in the B concourse in the Atlanta airport at the Blue Moon Brew House. And yeah. And Mike, and he's on vacation, and Steph, also on vacation, were enjoying their tall Blue Moon beers. I think that's what you were drinking. I don't know what you were drinking, actually.
We were drinking Hopsecutioner, actually.
Oh, that's even better.
Terrapin Brewing.
Yeah. And I had to pass since I was just about to go fly to Pensacola, and so I stuck with my coffee. And then I think Stephen was even more bland. He just had water.
Yeah, very disciplined, Stephen. We're very impressed.
So had a nice little quick visit before I had to head off to my gate. And I said, somebody asked what gate I was going to, and I said, I'm going to B6. And I looked over at Steph and I said, what gate is your Chicago flight? And she says, B6. And I'm like, huh. That's weird.
So that's funny. It's a weird coincidence.
And so we started walking toward my gate, and I'm noticing that Steph and Mike are following me, and I'm going, what are you doing? And then finally Steph says, I'm going with you down to Pensacola and then back. And I went,
yeah.
What? Why? What? Why? What?
Like, why would you do this?
So explain yourself.
Sure. Well, let's back up a little bit and just say that before Captain Nick retired, I did make more than one valiant attempt to ride on one of his flights, unbeknownst to him, but never actually got it to work out before he ultimately retired. So I know you have plenty of time left still flying, Jeff, but I was not going to let a chance slip by. So it just worked out yesterday, and I said, hey, that'll be fun. It's a nice little down and back to Pensacola short flight. It just was nice that it worked out. It was a nice day, so not too much to worry about in terms of hopefully, weather getting in the way of connections and things like that. So
beautiful weather.
I did have backup plans for that just in case, because I really did not want to miss my flight to Europe out of Chicago. that was bad. Well,
that would be a big spoilage.
So, I mean, you're always kind of taking a little bit of a chance, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, yeah, Jeff was like giving Mike and I this bizarre look, like, hold on. I don't know if you guys can hear that.
Oh yeah, we can hear it. Is that somebody in your room or a neighbor or what?
Yeah, no, we have. I'll get to this in a second, but we're sharing an apartment.
Okay.
Space. I think one of my brothers was had a little difficulty with the door over there.
Okay.
Got it figured out. So we're good. Back up there. Yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, it turned out to be a really nice day, and Jeff was definitely giving Mike and I this really confused look at first, like, you're doing what? And Mike and I had talked, dispatcher Mike and I had talked about it beforehand, and he was actually going to try and jump on the flight too, but he had some parental duties that ultimately did not allow for that to happen. So that would have been kind of fun too, to just kind of chat and hang out with Mike for a little while. So sorry we weren't able to do that. But yeah, nice ride down, and I can confirm that Captain Jeff makes very nice PAs to his passengers and does greet all the passengers at the doors, and nice landings by Jeff and his first officer.
Yeah, my first officer flew the leg back from Pensacola, and it was a nice crosswind, not a gusty crosswind, but I told him I wish that I had a video going of how he flew that approach and landing, because he rolled it on. I mean, just, made me look really bad. Nice. It was very nice. I even said so. I went, ooh, wow, that's nice. And so Kurt did a great job of landing the jet in Atlanta. But it was a beautiful day, not a bump. The air was super, super smooth. And when now the PA, I think I'm finally understanding that the reason why you might have been confused about what I was saying about I didn't say that you were critical for me making a landing. I was saying that I hope that I make a good landing. I said this on the PA going down, because I have a very, very good friend riding along, and she is a very critical person. And she is going to let me know how I did with my landing, whether it was good or bad. And so I'm hoping that I have a really nice landing in Pensacola. So that's what I was trying to convey to people. I guess it was kind of hard to hear what I was saying.
It was kind of quiet from where I was, so I couldn't hear it too
Yeah.
well, but the flight attendant heard it, and then she was making comments about, what is he talking about? You're critical to this landing? And I said,
Yeah, see,
don't
they
know.
don't really,
I hope not.
they don't normally listen to anything we're saying, actually. Right, Dana?
Oh, they were listening.
They never listen to anything we have to say. Come on now.
So I'm surprised they even heard me say critical. I'm really impressed, actually.
I'm surprised they knew that we were even talking.
So yeah, it's usually like, was that initial? No, that was not initial. Actually, in this case, it was. But when we were leaving Pensacola back for Atlanta, we had a wheels up time. Expect takeoff, departure. What is the ED whatever? Expect departure release time, whatever.
Edict.
Of us edict, yeah. And so we kind of pushed back, and we just kind of sat in position for a bit to save some fuel. And I made a PA regarding, and I knew that Steph would appreciate the fact that I was mentioning that we were doing what we could at Acme Airlines to lower our carbon footprint by waiting to start our engines. And I also said,
we were.
now, I was very tempted to play this on the PA, but I didn't. But I did say that we were doing our part to go green. I said something about going green.
I did notice that, and I did get a good laugh out of that.
Yeah.
And the guy next to me on that flight, I think, thought I was a little insane. There was
You
something
are.
else too that made me. I know I'm insane, but he didn't have to know that.
Yeah.
Gave it away.
Anyway, so that was great. So yeah, Steph rode down and back with me, and then we finally parted ways. She did not go with me to Greensboro. She instead went up to Chicago, and now you can take over the rest of what you're doing.
Yeah, so I went up to Chicago, met up with my brothers who had landed. When did you guys get there? Like an hour before me, hour and a half before me, something like that. Met them over in Terminal 5, which is the international terminal, and sat down. They were having a beverage at a restaurant, and they had to get there early, kind of get checked in, because one of my brothers was on a separate reservation, so he didn't have a boarding pass or seat assignment or anything yet. And he goes, they mentioned there was some upgrades available. I was like, oh yeah, we should find out about that. So went and had a talk with the fine folks over at the British Airways in the lounge, and found out that yes, indeed, there were upgrades available, and there were a whole bunch of them, and they were not very expensive at all. So it was well worth it to get a nice lie flat bed for the trip from Chicago over to Heathrow to get a little bit better sleep. Although now I'm quite tired, but I've been going for quite a while at this point anyway. That was fun. So we had a nice upper deck 747 ride on the way over. I was really surprised they had 3 seats all together up there. Must not have been a very full flight. I'm not sure. And uneventful flight from Chicago to Heathrow. Had a nice dinner and then immediately passed out. It was definitely not a smooth ride over. It was bumpy in places, bumpy enough to actually wake me up from sleep. Got my attention. I was worried that I had kind of a half full glass of water that was going to spill, like where I had it sitting next to me. So checking on that a little bit, drinking more of it. Got to Heathrow just around 7 a.m. or so this morning, and then we had about an hour and a half wait for our next flight over to Berlin, so time to get some breakfast. Did not go for the full English breakfast this morning, but I believe Joe had or one of my brothers had just kind of a simple English breakfast. Some of the baked beans and tomato and bacon and that type of stuff.
Mm.
I actually opted for the breakfast quesadilla, which was really good. And it was nice. Another uneventful flight over to Berlin. Got here about midday, and we are staying at the Circus Hotel in Berlin, which is one of our show listeners. Private Pilot Tillman is one of the owners of this fine establishment, and So we got here, got checked in, had a meet up with Tillman just for a little bit over a coffee and a beer and just catch up. And my thanks to him as always for being a gracious host and spending some time just chatting to us earlier. And then kind of parted ways, had some dinner, and now here I am chatting to you all. And it is getting quite late, and I am quite tired at this point.
We've noticed you with your eyes closed and drifting off here and there so far on the show. So you definitely have our permission to go ahead and leave us at any point and try to get caught up on your sleep if you can.
Yeah, I'm probably going to do that here very soon. It is now 10 p.m. and I know Nick regularly stays up much later than this, but considering I did sleep for about, probably slept for about 5 hours on the flight over last night. That's about all the sleep I've had in the past 48 hours. So it's getting a little tricky, a little tough.
Well, I hope that you guys have a great time in Berlin. I'm sure you will. Say hello to Tillman for us.
Will do.
And tell him to save some of that beer for me. Maybe one of these days I'll make it over there and be able to drink some of that.
Yes, they have plenty. They brew their own in the microbrewery here.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Great. So we're so happy that you were able to join us all the way from Berlin, Steph.
May I just point out, Steph, that you look a lot better in Captain Jeff's hat than Captain Jeff does.
Yeah.
That's true, actually.
I agree.
She has a couple. She has a couple photos of herself with wearing my hat. It's usually covering, like you can't even see your eyes. And
usually it's like down here, like.
Yeah, Steph, you should try my hat on because it's slightly bigger than Jeff's, I think.
I think we just determined that we wear the same hat size, like 7/3/8 or something like that. No, maybe not.
That's an excellent choice.
I wouldn't be surprised though. That your hat size would be larger.
I'm 7 5/8.
Ah, there you go. Well, they say that extra quarter inch.
Yeah.
Okay. Not sure really what that means, but I guess we do need to play this as well.
Family show, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
Family show.
Okay. I think.
Well, with that, I think I am going to bow out and get some sleep so that we can enjoy the rest of our short time here. Got a couple more days back on Monday. Yeah, and hopefully the audio and video for me was not too bad for this evening.
No, it was worth it. I mean, it's not perfect, but just having you here is worth it. And I'll definitely include some photos of our little meetup in the Atlanta airport and the photo with you wearing my hat in the show notes so people can take a look at that.
That was fun. Enjoyed it. All right, y'all. Have a good rest of the show.
Thanks.
Stick around, but
have fun, Steph.
Have a great time in Berlin.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. So let's move on quickly. By the way, this show is brought to you by, oh, wait a minute. We don't have any advertisers. We have people like you, fine listeners, that help us and support us financially. And you do that by contributing to the Coffee Fund.
Johnny, how much more coffee? No thanks.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup.
Potable.
Yes, coffee is potable. And that's the Jeff Smith singing the Java Jive as we mention our fine Coffee Fund cadre members. And let's see, we have a couple different ways to do it. One is the Coffee Fund Classic method, and we have recurring payments or contributions from Terry Liu, Chris Randall, and David Lieb. And the other way to do it is to become a patron of the show via Patreon. And we have a new executive producer, and his name is Tom Catalino, and he's up there in the Syracuse area, actually. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. I've met up with Tom a couple of times, and he has joined the Coffee Bar club or the Coffee Fund cadre or whatever you want to call it. So thank you very much, guys and gals, for becoming part of our Coffee Fund people. And if you want to join them, please head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. You'll be glad you did, and we will too. Oh, wrong one.
Captain, incoming message.
All righty. Guys need to take a break at all, or shall we move on with the feedback?
I'm actually good at the moment.
Yeah, I ran away shortly earlier, so I'm good.
Neville has the same shirt that I am wearing from Brooks Brothers, I guess. That's what this one's from. We'll see if Neville is wearing a Brooks Brothers shirt as well. Anyway, I thought it was interesting, Nev. I don't think anybody else did. But
I'll reserve judgment.
Okay. Let's start off with this first item in our feedback folder from JD. Hey, APG crew, sadly, I can't tune into episode 399 live as I will be in the air somewhere between Raleigh and Chicago. I just finished listening to episode 398, and the discussion of mistakes and funny radio talk reminded me of something I saw a while back. Not sure if you've covered this yet, but I figured I'd send it your way just in case. And so he sent us a link to this article from aviationhumor.net. While taxiing out in sequence behind a Lufthansa airliner at Frankfurt, a C-130 crew noticed an orange "remove before flight" streamer, those red streamers that you kind of see sometimes, hanging out of the Lufthansa nose wheel well. Their nose gear locking pin was still installed. Not wanting to cause too much embarrassment by going through the controller, the C-130 crew simply called the Lufthansa aircraft on the tower frequency. Lufthansa aircraft, Herky 23. They repeated the transmission again, and there was no reply. Instead, the Lufthansa pilot called the tower and asked the tower to tell the Herky crew that, quote, "the professional pilots of Lufthansa do not engage in unprofessional conversations over the radio." The C-130 pilot quickly replied, "Frankfurt Tower, can you please relay to the professional pilots of the Lufthansa aircraft that their nose gear pin is still installed?"
Wah,
Rimshot.
I read that. I thought that was kind of funny.
We don't know if it's actually true, but it's a good story.
Absolutely.
If any of you out there have some funny stories or funny radio calls or whatever, feel free to send them in, because we need all the help we can get to make this a funny show.
Yeah.
I don't know. Depends what kind of funny you're looking for.
Yeah, well, we're funny looking, that's for sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
I definitely fit
strange.
that bill.
Yeah, this show has just been it's a doozy. I guess
Yeah,
it's kind of a letdown after 400.
Well, we're building up to 500, so
Yes.
they can only get better from here.
We're doing this on purpose.
Yep.
It's very difficult for us to do this kind of bad show, but there's a reason for it.
I might as well do a bad show every once in a while. We can't be perfect all the time,
That's so true. So true. Okay.
It's true.
It's true.
The second item 2, Texas and LaShock. Greetings, Captain Nick and everyone else. Ooh, he has a favorite, apparently.
Oh.
With regards to your comment about Firefly, I had one thing to say. Quote, "I'm a leaf on the wind. Watch how I soar." I have no
That's
idea what that
great.
means because I'm not a fan of Firefly, I guess.
Well, it's a quote from the movie Serenity, which is all part of the same thing. He's guiding this spaceship down for a crash landing, and this is his quote as he's trying to not crash. It's very funny.
Did you ever have a quote in mind, like just stored up in case one of these days you were crashing out of the sky, Nick, and you wanted to say something really cool and
Yeah. My quote that I wanted to bring out, which was an old Air Force, a famous Air Force one, was, "Tower, will you please ask the mess to cancel 2 late lunches?"
I want to say something. Well, actually, this is a friend of mine that used to do this all the time. When they were maybe about 100 feet, 200 feet off the ground, he would say, "I don't know. I don't think this looks good." Or
Yeah.
I don't know, this doesn't look right. And I look at him and I said, why are you saying that? And he said, well, you never hear that on the voice recorders, right? For these crashes. He said he just wants to have one to say, yeah, I just don't think this looks right. I went, okay.
Oh, very good. Yes. Now shut up.
Do you think you could fly the old tub as well as Wash? I guess, again, another reference to Serenity.
Well, yes, Firefly was the type of spaceship they flew, and Wash did fly it very well. He was a grand pilot. One strange thing I noticed was that the two control columns, which looked very Boeing to me, weren't actually connected. So, one pilot could do something completely different with his compared with the one next door, which I always thought was a bit odd. But no, it was a great series. And I'm glad we found someone else who is a fan of it.
Huh. That's strange. Okay. So let me continue with his feedback. And now for some local news. The New Orleans airport has finally, well, I thought he was from Texas, but he's now saying he's local news, so he must be in the New Orleans area. The New Orleans airport has finally, surprisingly, opened their new terminal. They actually got it by the end of the year this time. When I first got here 2.5 years ago, it was supposed to be opened in the fall. So they're only 2 years late, which is better than I expected. Well, yeah, New Orleans, they kind of take things at their own pace.
It's almost like Island time.
Exactly. I took the opportunity to drive up to it to check out the new layout, and it is vastly superior to the old one. The old terminal over on the south side of the field was crammed up against Airline Drive and had a convoluted parallel road system with only one way in from the main road that required turning into it, then doing a complete 180 before you could get to the terminal, parking, etc. Sometimes it was almost easier to go all the way up to Veterans Boulevard, which borders the north side of the airport, then take Airport Access Road back down and right up to the terminal. That road also has the bonus of running almost parallel to runway 2/20. So sometimes you find yourself racing a plane on its takeoff roll. Let's see. The new entrance utilizes quite a bit of space, more than I realized that they had there. The roads leading in are laid out better and far less claustrophobic, leading arrivals and departures to separate locations rather than just stacking them on top of each other, and giving the ride-sharing services their own specialized curb rather than just stuffing them in a vacant parking garage. Overall, I find it to be a significant improvement, at least on the outside. I will be flying home to Midland, Texas, which is one of the reasons why I don't fly Acme as often as I'd like. I guess we don't fly to Midland. He's flying there for Thanksgiving, at which point I'll give my impression of the terminal as a whole, unless one of you has a trip taking you there and you wind up seeing the place before I do. Regardless, I'm excited to check it out. Until then, this is the Texas and LaShock signing off.
Did I hear that right? He thinks the terminal's a hole.
Or hold? Hold?
A hole.
He thinks the terminal's a hole.
Oh, as a whole. Yeah, I guess he does.
Oh.
I guess the old terminal is more of a hole than the
the new one.
Yeah, the old one's definitely a hole.
Yeah, and I probably didn't pronounce the W very well. W-H-O-L-E.
Hole.
Yeah, not an H-O-L-E.
I think we'll forgive you that.
Okay, thanks. I'll try to be better about my diction. Yeah, he's right. The old New Orleans terminal. I guess, what are they doing with the old terminal? Are they shutting it down and tearing it down, or what?
I don't know. Probably that would be my guess. It's so old it needs to come down. I don't know what else you do with it.
Could it be offices, or is it a bit too ratty for that?
Probably a bit too ratty for that. Although they've made improvements, at least Acme has, to the wing that they've been using, but it's still old. You can only do so much and put so much money into it, and to make it as good as you can.
True.
It's true. It's true. Anyway, yeah, it's been a long time since I've had a New Orleans, a flight down to New Orleans. I guess they're using different airplanes or something. I don't know. Dana, have you been down there at all?
Not at all. I think it's just they're starting to withdraw us out of a lot of places because the flying that we can do now. So
True.
I haven't seen it in a while. I did see it. I did see one in December though. So New Orleans.
Well, maybe we'll be down there. We'll just have to wait and see. Item 3, Thomas. Dear APG crew, I have only recently discovered your podcast. I know, shame on me. Yes, shame on you. And I'm currently working my way through your extensive back catalog.
Ooh, that's going to take a while.
That's what she said.
A bit about me. I am 36 years old, and live in Scotland, and always dreamed of being an airline pilot since boyhood. I attended the BA selection process, or as I guess you guys would say, process, for their now defunct cadet program on 18th September 2001. What else happened around that time frame?
I wonder.
Yeah.
However, due to the, here we go, awful events of 9/11, the scheme was canceled, never to return in that form. I then considered the RAF because I figured if people like Nick can make it in, I added that. I then considered the RAF and attended the Career Center, however, was scared off at the thought of military life. I subsequently had a couple of flying lessons, but was unable to continue due to being a poor student at the time. Fast forward to now, 1 marriage, 2 children, and a 10-plus year career in the emergency services after, and I am keener than ever to fly. Given my age and having astigmatisms in both eyes, I realize my airline pilot aspirations are all but over. However, I still wish to fly for fun and to earn my wings. I'm torn between microlights, which he puts in parentheses, light sport aircraft, and gliders. I would be keen to hear your thoughts and of what, if any, experience you have in flying in them. You may have in flying with them. Or let me try that again. I'm torn between microlights, light sport aircraft, and gliders. I would be keen to hear your thoughts and of what, if any, experience you may have in flying them. Many thanks, and keep up the good work in producing an amazing show for all of us aviation geeks. Regards, Thomas. And this was sent from his iPad.
Thanks, Thomas.
Yeah, thanks for
appreciate it, Thomas.
So what do you think, guys? What would your advice be for him to do the glider thing or the microlights?
Well, my thought on that would be whichever one you prefer. I mean, try them both out and see which one is your preferred way of flying. A little different, obviously, between the two. Microlight's a little bit lighter than a glider, but it has power. Whereas a glider does not have power. You tow it up to altitude, and of course, Nick is a glider pilot, or was a glider pilot, and maybe just not a current glider pilot. Correct, Nick?
Correct.
Yeah, that's correct. So, but my question I want to ask you, Thomas, is: you say you've given up on the commercial route completely. You don't tell us how old you are, so I don't know that you actually.
At the beginning, he's 36.
Oh, is it? I must. Yeah, I am 36. I am so sorry. I missed that. I can't say that that's. I don't know about over in Europe, but over here in the United States, certainly that would not be too old. So, but go down the path that you feel that you want to go, and certainly take a discovery flight in each one of them and see which one you like better. That would be my advice.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Dana in that I don't think your astigmatisms will necessarily prohibit you getting a Class 1 medical, as long as they can be corrected, so that you get good eyesight with glasses or whatever.
Well, Nick, and to pick up on that, not to interrupt you, but I actually have astigmatism on both my eyes, and I don't wear glasses.
Well, there you go. I've got one, but I guess it depends on how severe it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you'd obviously have to have that checked out by a doc. But if you've decided you want to dabble in paid flying and go and do some of that stuff, gliding is great in that it's a very pure flying skill, and I think it's a marvelous way to get involved in a flying community, because you do tend to spend all day at your gliding club, helping out, doing all the duties you need, and burping a lot. And and you get a couple of flights during the day when your name comes up in the roster, but you don't do a heap of flying. And if there's not a lot of thermals or activity, then your flights can be quite short. And it's not inexpensive. Microlights, of course, light sport aircraft are being improved all the time, and they're actually very sophisticated for their size and weight, and very flexible. And you can go places in them, which is not nearly so easy in a glider, because you tend to do a lot of local flying and only head out across country for competitions and the like. And even then, there's usually quite a likelihood that you'll fly a course and come back to where you started, or you'll land out in the countryside and need rescuing. So if you want to go and visit friends or tootle around and go exactly where you want to go, then I think a microlight is probably the way to go. And I suspect if you've got a share in one, it would not be prohibitively expensive. And I think it would be marvelous fun as well.
Yeah, I think that that's probably what I would say as well. Especially the aspect that you mentioned about going someplace to travel, to meet up with other people. You may not be able to take your whole family, for sure, because that'll be 4 of you, and I don't think any microlights are 4-place because they have certain weight restrictions. I think most of them are either single or 2-place airplanes, right? Isn't that right about that?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what the kilograms is, but I think it's somewhere around 800 or 1,000 pounds. It's pretty light.
Yeah, they're very restricted in that way. But if you're on your own or just with another person who's relatively light, you can go places and see people and all kinds of stuff like that with the microlight. So I would tend to kind of lean in that direction myself, I believe. So. Anyway, let us know what you decide. I do think that's good advice from Dana. Do both, and see which one is more attractive to you, and then go for it.
And I have to make sure that we're above 50%.
Yeah.
The United States definition of an ultralight. I don't see where it says microlight, but maybe they're.
Yeah, I think that's the term they use in Britain.
Probably in Britain, weighs less than 254 pounds or 115 kilograms, empty weight.
Oh, empty weight. And then max loaded weight is probably...
I'm looking. I don't see it here yet. But it says maximum fuel capacity of 5 gallons.
Wait a minute. No, you're what are you looking up the stats for?
That's an ultralight.
Okay, no, I think a microlight would be equate more to a light sport aircraft.
Light sport. All right, so let's look at light sport.
And in the UK, it needs to be less than half a ton, less than 500 kilograms.
Okay.
Sport
so
aircraft.
That's what, 1,200 pounds?
Yeah, I think that's a number that sounds familiar to me, about 1,200 pounds.
Yeah, 1,320 pounds, 600 kilograms, and max stall speed of 45 knots. Max seats 2, and 1 motor. Cabin unpressurized. I would hope so.
That's funny.
Yeah. So that's
a light sport aircraft.
That's a light sport aircraft. So when I typed in microlight, that's ultralight came up. So then light sport aircraft is obviously.
I think they're kind of more even. Okay, well, as I said, Thomas, please let us know what you do, and because I think everybody could benefit from it, and the pluses and minuses and how you came to that decision. All right, item 4, Nir in Israel writes again. Hello, Nick and crew.
Yeah,
this is the Nick show. This is Nir from Israel, possibly your only listener from Israel, or one of a very few. As I'm sure you're aware, Virgin has recently started flying to Tel Aviv, Israel. In APG 398, you cover in extreme detail the MiG-007 story. You're also correct that this aircraft resides at the IAF Museum in Hazerim? I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Do you know, Nick?
Oh, it sounds about right.
Hazerim.
Whichever one you choose.
Hazerim.
Okay, well, yeah, you're the person of Jewish faith, so you would probably know how to pronounce that.
I would say Hazerim.
Okay.
That's probably wrong.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he'll let us know. So when all of these holes line up just right, I invite you to come over to Israel to close this episode's Plain Tales and add a couple of pictures of you with this aircraft. Maybe we can offer the museum to use your tail. Just a thought. Well, I think he means the plain tail, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't actually have a tail. No.
Well,
I've got horns apparently, so perhaps I have a tail to go with the horns.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll leave that alone.
Yeah, we don't really want to reveal too much, but we have seen him naked, and he does indeed have a tail. Just a thought, you have an open invite, and I promise to take you around. Again, that's from Nir in Israel.
And that's ever so kind. I have, of course, replied privately to Nir to thank him very much for that kind invitation. And it's a fascinating country, I'm sure. Never been there, and perhaps it's one I ought to tick off. And certainly, if I do go, I'll look Nir up and take a look around that museum. I reckon it'd be brilliant.
Now, isn't Tel Aviv like on the coast of the Mediterranean?
Yeah, it's supposed to be quite nice.
It's a beautiful city.
Mm.
Some beautiful videos of it. Not been there myself either, but maybe we need to do that sometime. APG meetup.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay. Item 5, Dispatch Greg in Chicago. He sent us a couple of different pieces of feedback, and we'll start with the older one that he sent. He said, it's been a while since I left some feedback. By the way, it was a pleasure meeting all of you in Oshkosh. Next year, let's do it again. I'm not sure we're going to make it back this next year. We'll see. The DOT is looking to change the tarmac delay policy. Offers a little bit more flexibility for the airlines. And then he sent us a link to this article. And let's see, DOT proposes changes to extended tarmac delay regulation by Ben Goldstein. The U.S. Department of Transportation has proposed changes to its regulation governing extended tarmac delays for departing aircraft with the intention of reducing the number of tarmac delays that are subject to enforcement while still maintaining important customer protections. The proposed changes outlined in a notice of proposed rulemaking, an NPRM, would not apply to arriving aircraft but would affect foreign carriers at U.S. airports. Since 2016, the FAA has defined an extended tarmac delay as lasting more than 3 hours for domestic flights and 4 hours for international flights. The notice of proposed rulemaking formalizes the department's existing approach to enforcement with the goal of providing carriers some relief in situations when they may be unable to reduce the length of a tarmac delay for circumstances beyond their control, according to the DOT. And let's see, the proposed change, the tarmac delay clock will stop as soon as carriers begin to return the aircraft to a suitable disembarkation point with the purpose of deplaning passengers, whereas existing rules only stop the clock once the carriers have actually reached that point. So that is some relief there. There's more to this article, so if you want to read the entire thing, please check it out in the show notes. Dispatch Greg continued and says, have either you, Captains Jeff, Dana, with Acme, been in this situation in which you came close to exceeding the current rules? How did you handle it? I have not. Our company does a really good job of keeping track of these things because it's a very expensive, or can be a very expensive fine. If and I forgot what the figure is per passenger, but it's something like $5,000 or maybe more than that per passenger. So if you have 150 passengers, those fees can really add up. And as I said, Acme does a really good job of watching when we block out of a gate and sends us messages via the ACAR system to ask us for updates or to provide information as to when to make public addresses to the passengers and other things, other requirements that this rule makes us do. So I'm not, and I think that Acme is very conservative when it comes to whether or not we're going to get close to exceeding it, and plays it safe by having us return to a gate or a suitable disembarkation point to so we don't hold the passengers hostage. So I've not had anything that's even gotten close, Dispatch Greg. That might have something to do with the fact that I fly early in the day, and this type of thing, at least domestically, would more likely happen probably later in the day or the evening, especially during the summer, spring, and early fall weather systems that come through in the Southeast. How about you, Dana?
Yeah, I actually haven't gotten close either. I mean, I've had some delays where it's been a little bit more than 2 hours. We start getting those messages from our control center, and have the people, they've been offered water, and have they been offered the opportunity, I think, to use the restroom or something like that. I don't remember it because, again, with like you, Jeff, we managed through these type of situations pretty well at our company. So, and fortunately, we fly into, at least you and I, the aircraft that we fly, we avoid some of those really heavy delay stations that tend to be really problematic, like the Northeast stations in the New York area. And I have to admit, I mean, Atlanta is fantastic when it comes to usually fantastic when it comes to dealing with the weather events. So. Yeah. We're really lucky on our aircraft. That's all I have to say.
I agree. He also adds, Dispatch Greg says to Nick, Europe has different regs regarding tarmac delays. Have you ever been in that situation?
No. Quite honestly, most of the European, or most of the flights into European airports I did were to my destination. And I never really had a delay of more than 45 minutes waiting for my gate. So that was really not a thing. But I mean, the rules are slightly different in Europe. You don't have to be offered a chance to deplane unless the flight has sat on the ground for more than 5 hours. But you are entitled to some compensation, particularly if the crew haven't done things like offered you drinks, made PAs, allowed air conditioning and toilet use, etc. So they're pretty well covered. There are an awful lot of websites out there which will look to see if you can claim compensation from the airline that has delayed you, and they have all the rules there.
And Jeff, just to get our accuracy rating back up a little bit,
yeah,
the DOT can fine up to $27,500 per passenger.
I knew it was something ridiculously.
It's absurd. I knew it was ridiculous too. When you said 5,000, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, no, that's quite low.
That was kind of ridiculous too. But yeah, 27,500. Wow,
per passenger.
Per passenger.
Yeah, the most frustrating thing for us, of course, is that it may have absolutely nothing to do with us. It could be an incident on the airfield. It could be, an aircraft broken down, blocking our route. There are lots and lots of reasons why you may not be able to get to where you're going across an airfield. And it's just incredibly frustrating because we as pilots want to get off as quickly as we can, and being held up is just, something we try our best to avoid. But, sometimes you just can't move.
And unfortunately, just don't be thinking that that $27,500 fine per passenger goes to you, the passenger who was inconvenienced. It doesn't. It's just a fine that the airline pays to the government. And
again, never to be seen again.
Yeah, who knows where that goes. And the other thing that I wanted to say that I've now forgotten, it was a really clever thing too. I was impressed with what I was going to say. Just don't remember what it was. Dang it. Oh well. I guess the sad thing is that the reason why at least here in the U.S. they had to establish these regulations for delays on the tarmac is because, and it's probably true in pretty much every career field, some idiots out there who allowed this thing to just, get out of control completely and held people on airplanes way longer than they should have. And so because of that, now we're all paying for it, and, have very strict regulations. But for the most part, I think, even before these tarmac rules were in effect, most, 99.9% of the pilots out there were doing our best. As Nick said, we don't want to be on the airplane either. We want to, get the passengers to the gate, get them off the airplane, or when we're leaving, get in the air and get you to your destination as soon as we can. There's no benefit to us. And again, as I said, there are a couple instances, very well publicized instances of people basically holding hostage people in terrible conditions on airplanes, and that should never have happened.
No, and you know what they say: one circumstance where you poop the diaper, we all wear diapers.
That's right, and I think I need to change mine right now.
Yeah.
All right, and also Dispatch Greg sent us some audio feedback. So if you're wondering, I wonder what Dispatch Greg's voice sounds like. Well, here we go.
Howdy, APG crew. This is Dispatch Greg calling from Chicago. Cold and snowy Chicago, might I add. Hey, it's been a while since I've left some audio feedback, so I thought I'd send some feedback today and throw some fuel into the fire regarding the topic discussed on episode 399, which was the window shade debacle. Just as a quick story here, I was on a flight a few months ago from Chicago here to Las Vegas. And after the door was closed, the captain had come on the PA and introduced himself and had requested that for takeoff and landing that folks keep their window shades open. And the reasoning behind it was if flight attendants needed to evacuate the aircraft, that they would be able to get a good situational awareness of what was going on with the window shades open, if there was a fire or something else going on with the wing. I had never heard a captain actually make the announcement. Now, of course, it's the FAA doesn't require that it's open during takeoff and landing, but it was a simple request from the captain to the passengers to please keep them open. So I thought that was very nice. Too many times I see people just keep their window shades closed, taxi, takeoff, and landing. It really bugs me. I'm one of those folks that like to see the outside, and I almost get a little claustrophobic when the window shades are closed. So I, of course, as a employee of an airline, I have to fly standby, and I don't always have the option of having a window seat. But I've made comments to people sometimes just kind of saying, hey, do you mind opening the window for takeoff, landing? Some people just kind of look at me, and others, some do and some don't comply. But so I've actually started a hashtag on Facebook and Twitter, hashtag window shades open. Anyway, I thought I'd pass that story along. But I do think the FAA should have a law or something that says, for taxi, takeoff, and landing, that the window shades need to be open. Once you're in the air and all that, fine, you can close them. But, if for critical phases of flight, should be open. So that's my 2 cents. So that's really all I wanted to say for now. I enjoyed meeting all of you up in Oshkosh. Hope we can all do it again next year, if not sooner. Maybe if you're in Chicago, we can do a meetup. Or I might be up in the Atlanta area in January. So we'll see. That's all I have to say for now. So stay warm, everybody. If you're coming through Chicago, let me know. Or I guess I can check your calendars to see if you're coming through Chicago. Anyway, have a good day and tailwinds and all that fun stuff. Bye.
Well, thank you, Dispatch Greg, and we'll certainly let everybody know if we're going to be in the Chicago area. Had a nice meetup there a few months back with some fine folks in the Chicago area, and look forward to doing that again sometime. Check out the schedules that Dana and I have on the APG community calendar, and you can find that on our airlinepilotguide.com website. And I have to stand up right now for a few moments because I have a cramp in my left foot.
Poor Jeff.
Okay.
I know how that feels after a while.
It's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm hoping this is going to go away. It's not going away. I have to stand up. Okay. I guess I'm used to standing up at home in my home studio. Okay. Any comments regarding Dispatch Greg's feelings regarding the window shades? I think that matches our feelings about that subject.
Yeah, I think so. But it's been a subject we've talked about the last couple of shows. And funny enough, it's been pitching up on my Twitter feed quite a lot, and watching people have quite a vicious argument about the window shade that was sort of between them. One guy would slap it up and one guy would slap it down. It just went on for ages, and eventually one of the cabin crew had to come and intervene. I'm going, really, guys? God, damn me.
It's my territory. Stay away.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. At least they don't do like the animals, or hope they don't, and start urinating on it to mark.
Yeah. And if you really have that much of an affinity to operating the window shade, then when you get a ticket, try to book the window seat. Then you have full control of the window shade.
Oh, well, they both had it, but the window was sort of between the two seats. It wasn't precisely in line.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
And what's worse is when you get a quote window seat, as I've had in the past, and I think, score, I have the window, and then I get in my seat and there's no window. It's just a wall.
Love it.
Yeah, it's not a window seat. Anyway, Barbara in the YouTube chat. Jeff, more water and mountain salt in your diet will help your cramps. Well, it's not like they happen very often, Barbara. I think that's the first cramp I've had in quite some time. But thank you. I'll keep that in mind. Let me write that down.
Jeff normally gets cramps.
No, I normally don't. It's not that time of the month for me. Thank you. Okay. Anything else want to talk about with Dispatch Greg before we move on to Alex's feedback?
No, I thought that was excellent.
All right. Crew, a few years ago, I listened to a recording on YouTube. Before we do that, Nick, is there something you want to say to Mark Jennings in the Facebook chat room?
I already have.
Okay. Then is it okay for me to remove that from the screen?
Sure.
Okay. Or maybe you could, because I can't find it. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. I thought you were just putting that up there to get my attention and to.
No, I didn't. Is that? No, you see, I fell foul of the new buttons we've got. So.
Oh, you didn't realize when you click on it like that, it shows up on the screen?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, now you do. That's cool.
Now I do.
See, that's how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I just thought you was trying to give me some kind of nonverbal communication. Okay. Alex sent us some feedback. A few years ago, I listened to a recording on YouTube. He gave us the link of Doug White, a pharmacist, take control and land a King Air after the flight's captain became incapacitated with his entire family on board. It truly is an incredible recording, and I highly recommend giving it a listen if you're unfamiliar with the event. Let me prefix this next part by stating that, spoiler alert, other than the captain, everyone else survived, as Mr. White was able to successfully land the plane on a... Oh, you spoiled it for us. Darn it. Well, yeah, everybody successfully made it through the incident successfully, and he was able to land the plane on a runway. One of the things that caught my attention was that I believe he stated that he had a private ASEL certificate, or at least some training in that capacity. What's the ASEL? Airplane single engine land, I guess?
Yeah, exactly what it is.
Okay. Given that the King Air is a high-performance, twin-engine, complex aircraft, I was wondering, hypothetically, if he could log the flight time from when he took the controls. After researching 14 CFR 61.51, I'm still a bit unsure, as he wouldn't qualify as a pilot in command, as part the regulations define the pilot in command as someone who, 1, has final authority and responsibility for the operation and safety of the flight, 2, has been designated as pilot in command before or during the flight, and 3, holds the appropriate category, class, and type rating, if appropriate, for the conduct of the flight. Parts 1 and 2 seem pretty straightforward, but number 3 is where I think there would be an issue. My gut tells me that given the situation, it would be nuts if he weren't able to claim those hours. Maybe there's precedent for this or a different, more straightforward rule that I'm missing. Obviously, this question is an academic exercise, as I'm sure he could care less about the flight time, but interested to hear what you think. As always, clear skies and tailwinds. Alex.
I think Alex has too much time on his hands.
Yeah.
But this is an interesting academic exercise, I believe. And you know what? Regardless of whether it's right or wrong, I sure as heck would put that in my logbook if I were the guy with the.
Yeah, but it doesn't count to anything.
I don't know.
You can stick it wherever you like, but it still doesn't
I don't
count.
care. I'll frame it. I'll put it on make a blow up of the logbook page and frame it and put it in my den or whatever.
There you go.
Yeah.
I would probably too, but
Yeah, you can certainly log the time. However, you can't log it as PIC time because unless you have a pilot license or properly rated for that aircraft, you can't log PIC time.
I don't like that answer.
Granted, but that's the one he's going to get.
There you go.
That's
Dana has the right answer. I have the emotional answer.
You have the emotional answer. And that's it. I mean, you can log time as dual given or dual received, excuse me, or as pilot in command or SIC, of course, obviously for your type rated aircraft. The King Air, I don't know if I think it may be a type rated aircraft. I know there's training syllabus and systems you have to go through, and like a flight safety, they have simulators. I don't know if you actually have to have a type rating for a King Air. I don't know if it's above 12. I think the number is 12,500.
I think.
Yeah, 12,500. So
of the King Air that are above that, I imagine.
So I'm sure insurance regulations, you need specific training for it. But yeah, I mean, as a rule goes, unless you are a pilot in command or rated on the aircraft, you can't log it as PIC. You can log time, and
you have to have a hat.
You have.
Yeah, you have to have a hat. You have to have a captain's hat, and you have to have 4 stripes. And if you haven't got those, you definitely can't log it.
You're out of luck.
Yeah.
Out of luck. I'm just gonna try and keep us above 50% today, guys.
Good man.
Well, it's a tough thing to do, Dana.
Hey, HR's not here, so somebody's gonna step in.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Liz is watching us with a keen eye, making sure we don't go out of bounds. No, she's poking her head with her finger. Yeah. James, number 7. My name's James. Just found your podcast after looking for an airline podcast to expand my podcast horizons. I've only got to listen to a few episodes so far, and I love it. I have no association with any aspect of the airline industry. I just enjoy learning different things, and this show is great. Keep up the awesome work on the show. You've got a brand new fan. Yay.
Is that a big ass fan?
No, well, he didn't mention his size, so we can't make that.
No, I meant his brand.
Oh, his brand.
The brand. New fan.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
New fan brand. He may not know about big ass fans. I don't know.
Yes, very large donkey fan company in
yes,
Lexington, Kentucky.
Which we visited, and so every time we see a fan come up, we have to make big ass fan jokes.
Yes, especially
it's
if
compulsory.
You're brand name. Yes, Ben.
I was going to say I'm right up the road here in Louisville, not too far away from Lexington.
Well, get in the car and head on down.
I may have to.
Actually, Greg, he'll give you a nice tour of the place. All right.
That's good.
Let's see. Moving on to 8. We're really kind of knocking out a lot of stuff this time. That's good. Robert writes, first, congrats on 400 episodes. Thank you. Making sure you all saw the gently used DC-7 slowly making its way across Mississippi at 9,500 feet to Atlanta. And then he has a link to a story in Facebook. This is Robert up in Mayetta near the Big Chicken. You have to be in the Atlanta area to understand that.
I got a Big Chicken Look here on my.
Oh, you do have a
on
big
my
chicken.
screen.
On,
There is
your
another
shirt.
saying for that, Nick.
Well, this is a male chicken, so it's a cock.
Yes.
Exactly.
All right.
Family show, ladies and gentlemen. Family show.
And let's continue with let's see. Oh wait, is that it? I guess where is the story? I thought we had the story there. Maybe I need to click on this. There's a photo from Plane Finder that shows the DC-7 heading to Atlanta for the Delta Flight Museum. And it, as you said, is a DC-7, slightly used. And it shows its track coming from somewhere out west and flying over the Mississippi River right in the Vicksburg area of Mississippi. Did either of you click on the link to see what the story is in Facebook?
Yeah, there isn't a story that I can see on Facebook. It's just that picture.
Well, I guess he's just asking if we saw it. Dana, did you see it?
I did not see the airplane, but it does say, very pleased to announce our latest acquisition.
Okay.
DC-7 Bravo, November 4887 Charlie, ship number 717 is in the air flying home. The DC-8 left Mesa, Arizona yesterday, stopped overnight in Midland, Texas, and is scheduled to arrive in Atlanta around 5 p.m. today. Expecting flyby along North runways and landing to follow. You can track the flight there. So that was the information on Facebook.
Okay, good. And that was what, just a few days ago, I guess? I'm not sure.
November 17th. So that's,
about
5 days ago now.
Okay.
4 days ago. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for making us aware of that, Robert. I guess after they do all their renovations on it, it'll be proudly displayed in that wonderful Delta Flight Museum.
So that's what a 717 looks like.
Apparently so. That's an early version of it.
It says Delta
Well,
ship
it's-
717.
Ship
It-
717, yeah.
It is the proper corporation that made it, and that is Douglas. So
There you go. I like it. It looks a
see.
bit like a Bristol Britannia, but not quite as pointy.
It's quite a handsome airplane, I think.
Oh, yeah, I would say so. Yes.
Did you see this feedback from Soufiane? He's in France.
Yep.
His name
Yes.
is Soufiane. I'm 26. I live close to Paris, near Fontainebleau in France. Do you love that accent I use when I try to speak French?
Well, I might, but I don't know Sufyan that well.
No, probably not. I'm a new listener. I'm not sure that he's, I don't know. I'm looking, his last name is Fertahi. I don't think, I don't know. Maybe he is a native French person. I'm a new listener of your Aviation and Airline Podcasts initiative. Oh, wow. Now we're an initiative. That's nice. I'm very interested in aviation, airlines, airports, aircraft, etc., ATC, etc. I read aviation news. I listen to podcasts. I listen to liveatc.net. I worked at the Charles de Gaulle Airport as a passenger service agent at Air France. I also worked in the de-icing services of the airport. I was the de-icing coordinator on the radio and also the technician driving the heavy vehicles. I applied type 1 and type 4 fluids. It was an amazing experience for sure. I'll bet it was, especially for the big birds out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's stinky too, I'd have thought.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have experience de-icing airplanes, Dana?
Yes,
Is that
I
one of
do.
the things you have in your portfolio?
Yes, I do in Boston.
Okay. Yeah, I bet that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, especially being out in the bucket in the middle of the winter, and there is no. And nowadays, you see a lot of these buckets that are enclosed, and the guys are have heat and very comfortable. Oh no, that's not the way it was. You're out in the blowing snow, cold, and it was just kind of like a bucket to get to a power line. So it was very, very cold, very smelly, very sticky.
Yeah, sounds wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Very.
It explains a lot of why I am the way I am nowadays with all those chemicals.
you're right, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Let's see. Before the planes take off, we have the responsibility to clean the aircraft, remove ice, snow, frost, and any contamination on the wings, fuselage, wingtail, and other surfaces. The first podcast I listened to is the APG 001 Air France 447 update. I know it's an old one, but it's awesome. Well, thank you. I'm going through an English training course right now. I've just begun last week. It's a pleasure to hear your voice. I understand you. You speak very clearly, dear Mr. Nielsen. You have great microphones. Oh, thanks for noticing. The judge of that case did not recognize Airbus or Air France as responsible for the crash. The families made an association in France, and you can find that here, and they gives us a link to the Association of Families associated with the Flight 447. In one of their articles, they say that the pilots thought that the aircraft was going down, so he pulled up on the side stick controller. Imagine all the conflicting alarms with no visibility outside. Too much trust on automation is a serious issue when it comes to the pilots flying, again, the plane in a bad situation. Yeah, it was a very bad situation. Here's my question for you, Captain Jeff Nielsen. What do you think about Air France 447 cases results? What are your updates in 2019? I don't know if we've had any Air France 447 updates. I think that's what he's referring to in 2019. Pretty much an open and shut case by now, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think he's referring to the result of the court cases in France.
Okay. I don't really know that much about that. Do you know anything about that, Nick?
No, not really, other than Airbus and France apparently were not found responsible. Well, they were unable to establish exactly who was responsible for the crash. And I don't know if you can have a mutual level of responsibility, but I don't really understand it. I did take a look at the articles, and most of them are in French. And whereas Sofiane is learning very good English, I am very poor at French, so I wasn't able to glean much, I'm afraid.
Oh, that's a shame. Do you think you have listeners in France and Europe? Oh, for sure we do. I know that on occasion, although we haven't heard from private pilot Arnaud for a while, he lives in Paris as well. And that's too bad there isn't a way for me to get the two of you together. But there's at least 2 APG fans in the Paris area of France and several in Europe for sure. In fact, a lot of them are probably here right now in the chat room with us, or some of them anyway. So yeah, we have a worldwide community, which is really one of the best things about doing this whole endeavor or initiative. And here's a question about the actual real airplane that Dana and I work for. And the only thing I can tell you, Sofiane, is to use Google and put in these search terms: MD88 and ATL. I think you'll find right away the actual airplane or airline that we fly for. And he says, what are your plans for 2020? I don't know. What are our plans for 2020, guys?
I don't have many.
Keep doing shows every week.
Keep doing more. Keep doing shows. Keep passengers safe. Keep having fun. Keep
I'm going on holiday in Cornwall.
Yeah. We're all invited for that, right? That was my understanding. But we do have plans to have some kind of a big meetup over on Nick's side of the pond in 2020. So, but we haven't really gotten too far determining where and when we're going to do that. But we'll certainly announce it on the show when we do formulate plans. And also, please follow us on the social media places that we are located, and join Slack by sending Hillel an email, and also just keep an eye on our community calendar. And I think that'll keep you covered. And again, he says, congratulations on your 400th podcast, Mr. Sofiane Fertahi.
And we do actually have Ethan Allen. Ethan Allen from Le Chateau de Crozant in France.
Wow. Now, Ethan Allen is not a French name. It's a manufacturer of very nice traditional furniture here in the United States. And I think that also Ethan Allen was one of those folks that the British don't like. They were some of the people that were signing the the Declaration of Independence. Wasn't he one of the people that signed that, Dana? Maybe you can look that up.
He must be a fairly old bloke then.
He's very old now, still making furniture. Not as well as he did when he was a younger man. It's kind of really kind of sloppy and embarrassing. They don't display his actual work. No, I'm just kidding.
Have you? Yes, of course I have. He's a interesting looking fellow.
We're not talking about the Ethan Allen that's in the chat room, though. We're talking about this other Ethan Allen.
We're talking about the Ethan Allen that was born in 1738 and passed away in 1789.
And was he involved in anything to do with the formation of the United States of America?
He was scanning through here real quick. He fought in the French and Indian War and American Revolution. And he tried to have Vermont become a part of Canada, and then he died in 1789. So I don't believe he was a signer of the.
Oh, well, I thought he had something to do with that, but he lived in that time frame at least. And you said he was Canadian?
No, it says after the war, he petitioned to have Vermont become a state. When that failed, he tried to have Vermont become part of Canada.
Ah, gotcha.
And he died during that time frame.
Okay. Interesting. Well, this Ethan Allen, the most important one, is in our chat room and from La Chateau de Croissant. Croissant? I don't know. I'm not very good at accents, so sorry about that, Ethan. But we have at least 3 now that we know of in France. Right. Anything else? No. Okay. I'll do this one quickly before we get on to the best part of the show, which is the old pilot's plane tale for this episode. I was looking at my Twitter feed, and one of the people I follow is, and a lot of you I know do as well, Tom Podolek, I think is the way you pronounce his name, Podolec. And this is Tom Podolek Aviation, and at TOMPODOLEC. And he has a little bit of audio, and let me play it for you. And this occurred in Toronto, Pearson International Airport. The audio is coming from a United flight, and let's take a listen. It's very quick.
Coordinator United 459.
It's actually very loud.
459.
Let me see if I can back off the volume a little bit. Okay, let me try that again.
Coordinator United 459. 459. Yeah, am I calling you for our clearance?
No, you called me for the initial call for the pushback.
Okay, you're able. Got it. Thanks so much. United 459.
Very good, thanks. And are you ready to push back now or no?
Negative, Ghost Rider. Pattern's full.
Okay, thanks. Give me a call as soon as you're ready.
Negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full.
Some nice humor there from the film Top Gun. All right.
I'm glad you thought it was funny.
The apron controller.
It was very amusing.
Yeah,
it was funny because the apron controller kind of chuckled a little bit when he heard him say that.
Yeah, true.
Okay, well, maybe it wasn't that funny.
It was okay.
Maybe, Jeff, do me a favor. Don't send us any more feedback. It was me. I sent that feedback. Okay. Well, without further ado, we're awfully close to that point in the show where we play this week's installment of The Plain Tale by the Old Pilot. And this week's installment is entitled, If It Ain't Boeing.
The Old Pilot's Plain Tales. If it ain't Boeing. Like so many immigrants, Wilhelm Boeing, spelt B-O-I-N-G, had emigrated to the United States in 1866 to make a new life in the young country. He left behind a well-to-do family in Austria, and with little money of his own, he made his way laboring. He met a lumberman, Karl Ortmann, and worked with him until he married his daughter. Soon he was able to go into business for himself, harvesting the mineral and lumber resources of Minnesota becoming a rich and successful man. His son, William, was to grow up with the anglicized surname Boeing, with an E, and he was given an elite education at a Swiss boarding school and then Yale University, studying engineering. When his father died, he used his inheritance to build up his own successful timber business. In 1910, he attended an air show in Los Angeles, which sparked a lifelong interest in flying. This blossomed when he met a Naval Academy graduate, George Westervelt. Through him, he got a flight in a Curtiss seaplane and decided to become a pilot himself. After learning to fly at the Glenell Martin Flying School in LA, he purchased his own Martin Model TA seaplane and assembled a crew to help him maintain it. Although he loved flying, he wasn't impressed with the performance of the seaplane, particularly when someone crashed it, and became convinced that he could build something better. His personal wealth gave him the opportunity to throw his hat into an industry that already had 16 other US firms to compete with. With his friend Westervelt, they constructed their first aircraft, an improved version of the Martin Model TA called the Bluebill, later to be named the Boeing and Westervelt B&W-1. Its keel, wet and glistening in the sun, first broke clear of the water on the 15th of June 1916, and the Boeing Company was officially born on the same day when William filed articles of incorporation for the Pacific Aero Products Company. William knew that the market for aircraft would be small, but then came the First World War, and when the United States declared war on Germany, he saw his first real opportunity. Working out of their first home, Plant Number 1, the Red Barn in Seattle, they improved on their original design and presented the Navy with their B&W Model C. Sufficiently impressed, William got an order for 50 machines worth over $12 million in today's money. Now named the Boeing Airplane Company, they set to work. Only 2 years later, they were building Curtiss seaplanes as well. But when the war ended and the demand died, William was forced to reduce their payroll from 337 people to only 67. The post-war depression hit Boeing hard, and the era of regular passenger travel was still a long way away, but they found an avenue in mail flights from Vancouver to Seattle, albeit 25 miles north of Seattle, as their aircraft were a bit short of range. Boeing branched out with furniture making to keep his woodworkers busy, and then he got a contract servicing military aircraft. His relationship with the U.S. services paid off when he won a contract to build 20 bombers for the U.S. Army. The Boeing GA-1 and 2 were heavily armored triplanes that the Army designed and Boeing built, but the contract was soon cancelled when they were found to have poor visibility, climb performance, maneuverability, and range. It was rumored that a GA-1 survived until 1926, and Kelly Field pilots who behaved badly would have the threat of flying it held over them as a punishment. Then came the Contract Airmail Act of 1925. This act freed the Postmaster General from restrictions that prevented him from using private companies to carry mail. William bid for and won the contract to carry airmail from San Francisco to Chicago, on a price so low it was almost thrown out for being completely unrealistic. In the Boeing Model 40A, a biplane powered by a Liberty V-12 water-cooled engine, the newly formed Boeing Air Transport Company was created. By 1927, over 2.5 million miles were traveled by U.S. airmail service planes, carrying over 22 million letters. The revenue that Boeing created allowed it to expand into passenger services alongside the mail in the same aircraft. By 1930, the company was carrying 30% of the airmail and passenger traffic in the States, and in recognition of the company's achievements, Seattle named their first municipal airport Boeing Field. At the dedication ceremony, William Boeing declared the day was just about the happiest one of my life. When changes to the Airmail Act impinged on Boeing's success, the company decided that a bold move was required, and they created a design for the Army's new long-range heavy bomber, the XB-17. This massive, heavily armored and powerfully defended four-engine aircraft impressed the Army so much that despite killing the Army and Boeing test pilots in a crash during a competition fly-off, they ordered 13 for evaluation. The press soon coined a name for this awesome aircraft, the Flying Fortress, and it went on to serve nobly in every World War II combat zone, and nearly 13,000 of them would be built. At the same time as its bomber development was having such success, Boeing was producing one of the most iconic flying boats ever to grace the seas, the B-314 Clipper. The largest civil airliner in the world, it operated with Pan Am and carried up to 90 passengers to destinations all over the world. Built for luxury transoceanic air travel, it featured sleeping accommodation, a lounge and separate dining area serving 6-course meals cooked by chefs from 4-star hotels on gleaming silver platters. The B-17 bomber was only the first in a line of successful collaborations with the U.S. military. It was followed by the mighty B-29 Superfortress, one of the most technologically advanced aircraft of its era, with many new features, including remote-controlled guns and increased fuel and bomb loads that also made it the world's heaviest production aircraft. The B-29 would draw the war to a close when it dropped nuclear weapons, the first ever to be delivered in anger, onto the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. After the war, B-29s were adapted for roles such as in-flight refueling, anti-submarine patrol, and weather reconnaissance. Another wartime development was the conversion of the world's first pressurized cabin transport, the Model 307 Stratoliner, which had many components from the B-17, into the C-75 military freighter, which had a new and unusual circular fuselage cross-section. The B-29 and later version, the B-50, would get the same treatment when they were redesigned into the C-97 Stratofreighter with its iconic double-bubble fuselage. It served in the Berlin airlift as well as both the Korean and Vietnam wars. The civilian version, the Stratocruiser, would become a great success and serve with airlines all over the world. Following the development of the first turbojet engines, Boeing was in the forefront of large aircraft design with their 6-engined B-47 Stratojet strategic bomber. It was first flown by test pilot Robert Robbins, who had been skeptical about the aircraft, saying that before his flight he prayed, "Oh God, please help me through the next 2 hours." Robbins soon realized that he had an extraordinary aircraft on his hands. It proved to be a record-breaking design, and in 1949 took all the coast-to-coast speed records. It remained the backbone of SAC until late into the 1950s, when the B-52 Stratofortress entered service. Initially designed as a replacement for the Convair B-36 Peacemaker, this 8-engined, swept-wing monster was to rule the skies and be a workplace for generations of pilots. Hardly a sleek design, it quickly earned the nickname Buff, for big, ugly, fat fella. Other versions are available. Despite more advanced aircraft coming onto the scene, such as the Convair Hustler, the North American Valkyrie, the Rockwell B-1 Lancer, and the Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit, the Boeing design proved to be a vital part of the Air Force's inventory from its introduction right up to the present day. With a combat range of well over 8,000 miles without refueling and a weapon capacity of 70,000 pounds, it presents a formidable deterrent capable of carrying the fight to just about anywhere on the globe. During Operation Desert Storm alone, the B-52 flew about 1,620 sorties and delivered 40% of the weapons dropped by coalition forces. In parallel to their success with military aircraft, Boeing was soon to become dominant in the world of civil airliners. They weren't the first on the scene with a jet airliner, that honor going to the troubled de Havilland Comet, but their first would become a great commercial success. A follow-on from the Dash 8, the 707 truly opened the jet age to passengers, and it would serve with over 150 civil operators throughout its life, and a great number of air forces as well, in both its civil and military versions. Although described by pilots as being agricultural and having some tricky handling difficulties, many concerns were allayed when Boeing test pilot Tex Johnson demonstrated a barrel roll in a Dash 8 over Lake Washington near Seattle. As competing aircraft arrived on the scene, such as the Douglas DC-8, Boeing responded by developing and improving the 707 to keep their market share. They widened the fuselage and even built a short-range version, the 720. The original Dash 8 design would also be used as the basis for the KC-135 tanker and E-3 AWACS, both still flying today. Boeing again showed its flair for innovation and design when it introduced the 727 onto the market. This mid-sized, three-engine narrow-body airliner with a T-tail housed its third engine in the base of the fin and kept a clean, uncluttered wing that was highly efficient. The wing's array of Kruger flaps, extending leading-edge flaps, and triple-slotted Fowler flaps produced an excellent lift coefficient that allowed operations from small runways while still giving the aircraft a long range. The 727 was to be Boeing's only tri-jet, and it proved very popular with its pilots. It was a reliable and versatile aircraft which became the core of many airlines' fleets. The successor to the 727 was the ubiquitous 737. Originally designed as a shorter-range, lower-cost aircraft to complement the 707 and the 727, it has grown to become a world-beating design. So successful was it that it was stretched and developed from its original 115-seat design to one that could carry twice as many. To accomplish this, the design has grown by nearly 50 feet in length. So versatile and popular since its introduction in 1967, 10,500 737s have been built. It can be seen in countries all over the world, and it has formed the backbone of many famous airlines, and military versions serve across the globe. The story of the Boeing 747 deserves a tale all of its own. The design started as a need to fulfill the USAF's requirement for a very large strategic transport aircraft, a competition that Lockheed would win with the C-5 Galaxy. Even before Boeing lost, one trip, president of Pan Am had asked for an aircraft with twice the capacity of the Boeing 707. Joe Sutter took over the design, and from his team's work came an aircraft known and loved in every corner of the earth. From its double-deck fuselage, reached by a beautiful spiral staircase, to its excellent handling characteristics, it would herald a world of air transport that everyone could afford, and it became the darling of the flying public. Boeing famously bet the company on the success of the 747, as Pan Am wanted only 25, and Boeing needed to build 400 to break even. It was a gamble that paid off and bore them great success. Boeing understood that the economics of the big twin-engine airliners made sense. Over the years, they have produced a family of big twins, from the 757, the 767, and the fabulously successful 777. I wish I had time to describe them all, but needless to say, each in turn was a groundbreaker and immensely popular, but none more so than the 777. And I look forward to seeing how the latest version, the 777X, with its folding wingtips, gets on. Since it first entered commercial service in 1995, it's gone from success to success, and sales of this long-range wide-body have now exceeded those of the old Queen, the 747. Nowadays, the flagship of Boeing's range is the 787 Dreamliner, a state-of-the-art computer-driven aircraft that is capable of competing with the most advanced airliners flying today. Sadly, I haven't been able to touch on all that Boeing have accomplished by a long way, but I've done my best to pick out some of the highlights. Of course, not everything Boeing has touched has turned to gold. Boeing's 1957 submission for the Mach 3 long-range supersonic bomber competition was a monstrous design, incorporating jettisonable outboard fuel tanks to feed the era's notoriously thirsty engines, each with their own wings and tailplane as big as a B-47. When he first saw the 42-inch model, General Curtis LeMay barked, "This is an airplane! This is a three-ship formation!" Boeing's enormously expensive 6-year foray into supersonic transport also ended up in disaster, with little to show for the vast sums invested in the failed design than a mock-up. 60,000 layoffs followed, and a billboard was erected near SeaTac Airport in 1971 that read, "Will the last person leaving Seattle turn out the lights?" Its most recent troubles concerning the development of the 737 MAX have also had a strong negative impact on the company, and many are rightly concerned that the hard-earned reputation built up over the past 103 years has been irrevocably tarnished. Without doubt, it has had an enormous impact, but Boeing has a historic strength and powerful following that will undoubtedly see it through. I feel sure that it will rise above this worrisome period, and people will again feel confident to say, "If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going."
Now, if you could just give me that voiceover without the music in the background, Nick, I'd love it.
Yeah. Well, it's a great story. It's a great company. I think
Yeah.
it deserved telling. Yeah, it's, you just have to really look at their contribution to aviation through more than 100 years of constant aircraft production. And, well, not every company is going to go through life with a perfect record, but Boeing's come pretty damn close, and they have produced some of the most iconic aircraft that we have ever seen and may ever see. So I take my hat off to them, except I won't, because it's a Boeing hat.
Well, thank you very much. That was very interesting. One of my favorite Boeings, one that I've never actually got to see in real life, and I've only seen pictures of, and have read a book about, based on a plane tale that you did some time ago. What was it called? The Long Way, or the Wrong Way Around, or the Long Way Around, or something like that.
The Long Way Round, yes.
The Boeing, the 314, right? The flying boat.
That's right. Yeah, the Clipper.
Yeah, what an amazing airplane. I just thought that was a really, really great airplane.
Well, that was an era of amazing luxury, and I hate to think what the cost of a ticket was in modern day terms, but outside the reach of you, me, and a huge percentage of the population, the only people that really were able to travel on those aircraft were, company executives, government, high government officials, that sort of thing, because it was enormously expensive. But they did travel in fantastic comfort.
And then that Boeing Stratofortress is just an amazing airplane as well. And they said that thing is still expected to be flying as far into the future as what, 2040 or 2050, I think.
You're referring to the B-52?
B-52, yeah.
Yeah, I know. What an incredible airplane. I love the fact that 3 generations of pilot from the same family, grandfather, father, and son, have flown sometimes the very same airframe. Isn't that remarkable? I think that's incredible.
Now, I can't wait to hear this plane tale that you're going to do, I'm hoping, about the Airbus and how that whole thing came about.
It's a much shorter story, so I might have to wait for a few years until it's grown a bit.
Oh, well, we don't have to wait.
It's a lot simpler if you think about how long Airbus has been around. And quite honestly, it's a European mishmash company, so it doesn't have quite the same spirit, I think, than Boeing does, which was started, after all, by one bloke.
True. And I really got a kick out of the fact that now behind the scenes, and I don't know how many of you listening to the show, the audio-only podcast, know that Nick likes to refer to the Boeing name as Boing, kind of like the sound that maybe a spring would make as it's bouncing along. But I thought it was really funny that the original Boeing that started this whole thing spelled his name without the E, and that's pretty profound and ironic, I think.
Absolutely. Certainly his father did. I think by the time William Boeing came along, they had anglicized their name. But when that family came from Austria, immigrants to America, they were Boeing. I think that's how you would pronounce it. Boing. Boeing.
It has like an umlaut over the O, I think.
Right? It did. I don't know quite how that's pronounced, but
yeah, I don't either. Maybe one of our German/Austrian friends out there will send us an audio recording to pronounce that original B-O with an umlaut I-N-G. So
yeah, but it is a great story. I personally prefer the story I told about Cessna. I find that quite, a little more touching. He was a little earlier on. The fact that William Boeing was actually an incredibly wealthy man, and he had a very privileged education, and he was really setting up a company with using his huge resources from the lumber business he ran. So there was little chance of him going down, whereas many other companies were built by individual entrepreneurs who were making their way in the industry. Boeing was really seeing an opportunity to build a company, and he had the resources to do it properly. So it's an interesting story. I like it, though.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again for that. And
pleasure.
We still have time to do a few more items in the feedback folder.
Excellent.
So, good friend, longtime member of our APG community from the Sydney area down under. This gentleman's name, Ray Davis. He sent us some audio. Actually, he sent me some audio feedback in Facebook, and I asked Ray if it would be okay if I played it on the show. And he said, I would be more than happy for you to do that. So here we go.
G'day, Jeff. Ray from Sydney, Australia here. Mate, just wanted to send you a belated congratulations on the 400th episode of Airline Pilot Guy. Thanks very much for sharing your side of the cockpit door. And he's hoping that there'll be many more stories, tales, funnies, and just all-round good humour. Take care, and wishing you unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. You take care now. Bye for now.
Thank you, Ray. Always good to hear from you down under. He told me that he recorded this when he was out on patrol at the moment, and he was driving through some bushland. And I'll put the photo that he took out the front windshield of his vehicle. Looks like a very, very dark night in the bushland of the outside of Sydney.
Just before he left the road when he hit that corner.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we haven't heard from Ray since he recorded that. So.
No, he's lucky there isn't some kangaroo bouncing off his bonnet, actually.
And finally, unless we can probably scrounge up some more feedback somewhere if we want. This is from John. This is kind of an unusual, not a common thing for our show to get to the point where we're actually going to hit all of the feedback on one episode. John writes in with, here is a link to a YouTube video by Bass Aviation of a CRJ-200 trying to reposition, or they, I guess a lot of the regional airlines call it a repo. I always think of repo as a repossession, where people come like from the bank to get your car because you've missed several payments. But apparently the lingo for a lot of airlines is when they reposition a flight, they call it a repo. It was a repositioning flight from JFK to LaGuardia. There is some confusion between the flight crew and controllers about their clearance. The flight crew asks if they can do the flight VFR, and they get approved. Talk about unusual. Blue skies and tailwinds. And he has a link to the YouTube video. I don't think we really need to play it. I know that for the mainline carrier that Dana and I fly for, there are some very limited circumstances when we can fly our airliner using visual flight rules. Now, we fly in VMC, visual meteorological conditions, all the time. We fly visual approaches quite often, but that is not a VFR maneuver. It's an actual IFR, instrument flight rules type of approach in visual meteorological conditions. But to actually operate a Part 121 flight, at least for our company, is, as I said, very restricted. And one circumstance might be that you're at a place out in the middle of nowhere and or for whatever reason, you have trouble getting a clearance for your instrument flight rules flight plan. We are allowed to take off in VFR using visual flight rules, and then immediately after takeoff, perhaps, having the radio reception necessary at that point to call up air traffic control and get an instrument flight plan using instrument flight rules. But to operate a flight such as this company did from Kennedy to LaGuardia, and we do it all the time, Acme mainline, but we are not allowed to do it under visual flight rules or VFR. But this, I guess they were getting frustrated trying to get a clearance, and I guess they had a long time from when they were going to be allowed to go. And they said, well, can we just fly VFR? And they said, yeah, sure. And they gave them a squawk code, and they took off. And apparently the air traffic controllers in the very, very busy New York airspace were kind of perplexed. They weren't used to seeing an airliner, even a repositioned flight, operating under VFR or visual flight rules. What do you have to say about that, Dan? I know you flew before you flew for Acme mainline, you flew for a regional carrier. And was that something that you were allowed to do?
I don't quite remember if we could actually fly VFR at that airline. I know for the op specs, it'll be very specific as to when you can and cannot fly, and how you have to, whether you can. Obviously, not going to fly passengers on a 121 carrier, I would imagine, as a VFR flight, and only if on a ferry would you be able to do that, I would imagine. Between two airports like that. I mean, I know our rules are 35 miles. You have to be within 35 miles of the airport to accept to be able to. You're going to say?
Oh no, that's for visual approach.
For visual approach, that's correct, and that's where I was going with that.
But that's not a VFR
No.
procedure; it's an IFR procedure.
It is. That's correct.
So that really has nothing to do with VFR at all.
Yeah, I mean, we can operate in a non-controlled environment, as in the VFR, as you said, in departure. But that's all I know of. I don't know. At the former airline, I do remember doing a couple of test flights around the Macon Airport, which was the maintenance hub for ASA, and we never had to file IFR. We would just go ahead and blast off VFR. So that I know that we could do in the local area. But going from airport to airport, I don't know of anybody that did it.
Yeah.
I have a feeling I heard something very similar to this in opposing bases not long ago, and they were quite scathing about the fact that this chap or the person doing something similar had been released, and they said if normally if someone is released in that circumstance, which is effectively to jump the queue and get a clearance when one really wasn't available because of traffic congestion, the air traffic agencies that they were moving into were going to be very upset. I mean, extremely upset. And there would be a lot of words passed back down the queue to say, why on earth was this bloke released? And what's more, the aircraft released would be very unlikely to progress very quickly, because it sounds like effectively they're trying to just jump the queue and get ahead of people who would normally be progressing ahead of them.
Yeah, I don't blame them for being upset about that, because I don't think that's a legitimate reason to use, even if they're legally or allowed to by their own airlines regulations to operate that way. As I mentioned, for us, there's only a very, very restricted circumstances where we could, in other words, you cannot absolutely not contact anybody and get an instrument departure or a flight plan unless you actually get the airplane off the ground and then immediately try to pick up an IFR. And I'm not even sure these days if there's really ever a situation that could happen like that anymore with our technology, with the cell phones and everything else. I mean, we routinely use, or I do anyway, cell phones in some of the places that we are operating when the air traffic control tower or the air traffic control services are not at that airport operating, and it's an early departure. Sometimes we're able to raise the air traffic control people via radio, but a lot of times where you're positioned on the airport or where the airport is positioned, you just cannot pick them up, and so you can use your cell phone and call up the flight service station and request your flight plan that way, which is again perfectly legal for us to do. But not common, but it's legal. But yeah, this I can understand why the controllers, especially in New York, especially going out of and into a very, very busy airport with air carrier aircraft, 99.99999% using instrument flight rules and IFR flight plans. So
yeah, I mean, we used to carry going to JFK with fuel for Newark, which is a hop, skip, and a jump down the road. What is it, about 20 miles away?
Yeah,
I mean, it's really right next door. And we used to carry over 20 minutes worth of diversion fuel because we knew that if we were going to try and divert from JFK to Newark, that was probably the shortest amount of time it was going to take to get into the queue of traffic. And that you were probably going to be sent miles out of your way to get out of the JFK pattern and then be fed somewhere into the Newark pattern. So you do need a lot of gas in such congested airspace. There's really no way that you can expect to get airborne and just hop 10 miles over the road and land again. It just doesn't work.
No. So I just didn't think it was worth playing the audio from that, but if you want to check it out, It'll be in the show notes, and you can watch the Vast Aviation YouTube video that tracks and records the. Actually, they used the audio from liveatc.net, which we love to do here on this show, and many others do as well. This just in, breaking news from CNN. This just happened today, Thursday morning. 2 U.S. Air Force personnel were killed when 2 T-38 training aircraft crashed near Vance Air Force Base in Oklahoma Thursday morning during a routine training mission, the Air Force said in the statement. This is Vance Air Force Base. 2 of their airmen were killed in an aircraft mishap at approximately 9:10 a.m. today. The Air Force initially said that 4 Air Force personnel had been aboard the aircraft at the time of the incident. The status of the other 2 service members was not immediately clear. Yeah, this is a typical U.S. Air Force T-38 two-ship formation training mission. Unless one of the airplanes had a solo pilot in it, it's very common that there would be 2 pilots in each airplane for a total of 4. Let's see. The statement said that Vance emergency response personnel are on scene to treat casualties and assist in recovery efforts. The twin-engine 2-seater T-38 Talon serves as an advanced trainer for the U.S. Air Force, and the aircraft is capable of seating a student and instructor. Yeah, true. Or 2 instructors, which is very dangerous. The aircraft has served as the Air Force's fighter pilot trainer. Again, the advanced trainer, I'm adding that to this article. The service recently announced plans to replace the aircraft in coming years. Yeah, and we've talked about that on our show. A joint venture between Boeing and Saab. And I believe it's called, what, the T7, I think? I always forget the nickname of the thing, or the actual name of the thing. Red something. Red Arrow? No.
Is it Red Hawk?
Red Hawk, that's it. Red Hawk. Very good. Thank you.
No, it's an American aircraft, so you can use your pronunciation, Jeff.
Okay, Red Hawk. H-O-K, Hawk.
As we're saying, Boston Hawk.
Oh, yeah, see, his pronunciation would be closer to yours than mine. Hawk. Anyway. Oh, never mind.
Well, that's an absolute tragedy. I wonder if they were in the same formation or whether they had just bounced into the wrong piece of airspace. You guys are pretty good at allocating boxes to keep aircraft apart, aren't you, when you're training? I think it was the same way in our Air Force.
What do you mean?
Didn't you, when you went out to do training exercises, you were allocated an airspace box to stay in to do your exercise, so you knew what traffic would be around you and that your box was relatively sterile?
Yes. We call them military operating areas, or MOAs. And but in this case, I think it was probably a formation training flight, and so the 2 were in the same space, very close to each other, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Perhaps they were doing extended trail. They may have been doing rejoin maneuvers, like a turning rejoin or straight rejoins. I mean, who knows? I mean, that they didn't give us any of that kind of information.
Yeah, I remember we lost 2 Nats with 4 pilots on board doing, just basic formation practice. They did a straightforward crossover turn from battle formation, and 2 of the aircraft hit. There were 4 of them in the formation and killed 4 guys, which is an absolute tragedy. But these things do happen. Certainly, we never had the same sort of separation system in the Royal Air Force. When I was at Valiant, we were flying as a student in our little trainers, and then later on as an instructor for 4 years. We just went into a big piece of airspace and try to keep our eyes up. There was no other way of separating ourselves. So we just looked around and tried to spot them. But there's no doubt about it that spotting a gnat, which was a tiny little airplane, had a very small frontal area, was very hard. And I'm surprised more collisions didn't occur.
Well, because you guys are so good. That's why.
No, I think we're just lucky. We used the big sky theory.
Yeah.
They're just hard to hit because they're so small.
Ooh. That's exactly right. Nice gin, this.
We're hitting the gin, huh?
I'm afraid so. Yeah, well, it's getting to the end of the show. It's time I have one.
That sounds good, actually. Maybe I'll have to get a G&T downstairs. Let's see. Just quickly, I found this in our major feedback folder, or where everything funnels into. And I believe, was this something that was sent in by you, Liz, regarding the airplanes causing twice as much damage to air quality as they do the climate, or I'm not seeing any name affixed to it, so I'm assuming that was from Liz. Yep. Let's see. Getting back to that article. So what I would like to do here is say that perhaps this is an anti.
We're going green.
Going green initiative.
Going green. We're gonna take care of the earth. We're going green.
Wow. Okay. Flying is often criticized as a severe contributor to man-made climate change. This is from thedailymail.co.uk. However, researchers from MIT argue that it does more damage to air quality. Plane emissions thus lead to around 16,000 deaths per year through pollution. Efforts, wow, really? 16,000 deaths? Efforts to reduce NOx emissions. What is that? Nitrous oxide?
Nitrous oxide, I think.
During cruise will be the most beneficial. Airplane travel causes about twice as much damage. We just talked about that again. Here we go. Teenage activist Greta Thunberg, for example, famously shunned plane travel earlier this year, choosing instead to cross the Atlantic by yacht. Oh, and by the way, to keep us above 50%, I suggested that she came over in a yacht and she returned home in some kind of an airplane, but I was wrong. I just learned that she is a passenger aboard La Vagabonde, which is those of you out there who may know their adventures, yachting adventures on YouTube. They have a YouTube channel, and I've been following them for a couple of years now. They have a very nice catamaran, and apparently they're giving her a lift back across the Atlantic.
Oh, we should all be able to afford yachts.
Yes, we should. Why shouldn't? Why can't we?
Good point.
Anyway,
be careful you tread on that one.
However, yeah. Oh, I see where you're going with that one. Didn't pick that up right away.
It's not a yacht, Dana. It's a stink boat.
That's right.
Don't get him started now. A quote, according to author of a paper, Sebastian Eastham of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, aviation emissions are an increasingly significant contributor to the anthropogenic climate change. In other words, man-made, man-caused climate change. They cause 5% of global climate forcing. When you consider the full flight, which includes emissions from takeoff, cruise, and landing, aircraft emissions are also responsible for around 16,000 premature deaths a year for impaired air quality. Okay, well, if you want to read more of that article, please find it in the show notes. And thank you, Liz, for sending that in. And yeah, that's about all. We're gonna shut it down a little bit early today, which is a nice respite from our extremely long shows. Not really early, but a little bit earlier than we don't normally do. And so what we're going to tell you to do is, well, first of all, we're going to thank you for listening to our show, for downloading it, for reviewing it if you have a chance to do that on iTunes, so that other people can help discover the show as well. If you feel like you're getting a lot of value for the show and you want to help with the financial contributions of the Coffee Fund cadre, that information is on our website, airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. But we have many different things available by heading over to our very nice website. Arash Maheen is the one who manages and built that thing for us and keeps it running. And one of which is the very wonderful and best part of our show, the Old Pilots Plain Tales. And you can, I'm trying to pull up our website. Here it is. Okay, website's down. No, I'm just kidding. We have a separate page or a page for the Plain Tales. If you're into reading books, especially books related to aviation, Tiffany in Buffalo is our APG librarian, and she maintains a very wonderful category of, or what do we call those? A card catalog? Not really, no cards, of books that you may want to read. And if you have any suggestions for us, please contact Tiffany, the librarian, and it's Tiffany at airlinepilotguy.com. Our calendar is on there, information about the coffee fund. There's some merchandise if you want to buy shirts and mugs and all kinds of things like that. It's the APG store. You can learn about more about the APG crew. You can see our videos on YouTube on the special APG on YouTube page, and so much more. So check out the Airline Pilot Guy Show website. And if you are looking for our APG apps, well, they are no longer a thing unless you just happen to still have one on your device. Don't delete it, because you won't be able to get it back, because it's no longer available on the iOS or Android app stores, because we made a decision to just use the website as our main portal. And there are instructions in each show note. The last few episode show notes on how you can appify or make your link to the Airline Pilot Guy Show website look like a little application icon. You can just double click on it, and you're right there at the Airline Pilot Guy Show. And it's a responsive website, which means that it looks good on a small smartphone, a tablet, or even your desktop 30-inch screen. So check that out if you would. And we're also on social media. So Nick is going to tell us about that.
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter, and just append the old handle at APG Crew, and on Facebook. We're there if you search for Airline Pilot Guy.
Yes. And we're also on Slack. And of course, I'm not ready for introducing Hillel, so...
Has he got to somebody else's toilet?
I think he might be. Hang on, let me get over here. Too many places to try to be at once. And let me bring the volume down a little bit on this. And all right, let's try to play one of these that I haven't played in a while. Hillel, it's time for the show. Time for your thing, Slack.
Oh yeah, Delta P.
Okay, come over here and tell us all about Slack, if you don't mind.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and Plain Tales topics. We plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com, or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thank you, Hillel. Now you can go back to the bathroom.
Fire in the hole.
All right. And I guess that's about it. Anything else to talk about before we shut the thing down?
No.
All right.
I'm good.
Until next time, all of us here at the APG wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care, and God bless.
Bye, everybody.
Have a great day. See you next time.
Bye-bye, boo-boo. That's not going to be in the show. It's just, I don't know why I wanted to say that.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I say to my wife. Bye-bye, boo-boo.
Oh. Maybe that's where
Bye-bye, boo-boo.
Bye-bye, boo-boo.
Out of boo-boo.
You know, we haven't heard from Ivor or Tarquin in a while. If you're listening, come back. We miss you. All right. So, to keep your flying skills sharp, Captain Nick, get the new DJI mini drone. Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how that ended up there. I might have clicked it by accident.
Oh, I thought maybe you wanted me to read that. Sorry.
No.
Okay. Yeah, thanks everyone in the chat room for hanging out with us once again. Sorry it wasn't one of our best, but I guess it was okay. It was just too soon. It was just too soon. Since
You
the
think?
last show.
And we were all a bit tired, to be fair.
Yeah, I think
don't
so,
know
too.
why. It wasn't any particular reason, but I've got a bit of a cold coming. And
Yeah.
Steph obviously has been
beat.
flying around the world, so she's looking pretty tired.
And Dana, I think, are flying both of these really early morning get up kind of trips.
Yeah,
Just
not
tend
too
to
bad.
wear on you. Well, I know I have been. I had to get up at 3:00 yesterday morning.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
brutal.
ouch.
So, or was that this morning? No, this morning I got to sleep in until 3:10, I think. No, it was this morning. I got up at 3. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with us, and thanks, Mike Kuipers. Appreciate the good wishes. Always good to see you, man. And until next time, I guess we're not sure exactly when, but just look at the APG community calendar, and you'll see when we are planning on doing a show next week. Now, in the United States, next week is on Thursday, a week from today, is Thanksgiving celebration or celebrate our
Traitors Day? Is that Traitors Day?
Ah, yes.
Wait, no.
Day.
Does Traders have anything? No. That would be the 4th of July, Independence Day.
Oh, okay. It's not Traitors Day.
No, it's not Traders Day.
It's
when
Turkey Day.
Yes, when we convened with our Native American friends. Never did anything wrong to them.
Yeah. Okay. So I should take your word for that.
Yes, please do. Anything you hear to the contrary is wrong. No, I'm just kidding. Football Thursday. Yeah, I guess tonight is football, Thursday night football. And next Thanksgiving is always a big football weekend for us here in the States. So anyway, everybody expect that we'll not do a show on Thanksgiving Day, I'm pretty sure. So it'll be either before Thanksgiving on Thursday or Friday or the weekend afterwards. So maybe we'll do a Black Friday special or something. I don't know. Anyway, I don't really know what I'm talking about, so I'm just going to.
That means it'll be half price if they.
Yes.
Do it on Friday.
Well, that means it's going to give them half a show.
Or, yeah. It's only going to be half as bad as it normally is.
Right.
Excellent. That's good.
Yeah, that's a good.
That'll be real value.
Yeah, I know. All right. See you, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.